My beloved child, before you continue listening, I want you to understand something that may be difficult for your mind to grasp, but your heart already senses. This moment is not an accident. Out of all the places you could have been, out of all the voices you could have heard, you are here now for a reason. I brought you to this exact moment because there is something your soul has needed to hear for a very long time. I know the questions you have been carrying. I know the thoughts that visit you late at night when everything becomes quiet. I know the burdens hidden behind your smile, the concerns you rarely speak aloud, and the silent prayers that have risen from your heart when no one else was around to listen. I have heard every one of them. Perhaps you clicked on this message without expecting much. Perhaps you were simply passing through another ordinary day. Yet deep inside, there is a part of you that has been searching, a part of you that has been waiting for confirmation, for direction, for reassurance that you are not walking through this season alone. My child, I tell you now, you are not alone. There are moments in life when everything seems uncertain. Doors remain closed. Answers seem delayed. The future appears hidden behind a thick fog. You try to move forward, but fear whispers questions into your mind. You wonder if things will ever change. You wonder if your prayers are reaching heaven. You wonder if anyone truly sees the struggle you have been carrying. I see it all. I see the battles you never discuss. I see the tears you wiped away before anyone noticed. I see the disappointments that left scars upon your heart. I see the dreams you carefully protected after life taught you how painful disappointment can be. Nothing about your story has escaped my attention. And this is why I am asking you to open your heart right now. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Not when everything finally makes sense. Now. Because there are blessings that begin with a moment of listening. There are breakthroughs that begin with a moment of trust. There are answers that arrive when a weary heart finally becomes still enough to hear my voice. Something had been shifting beneath the surface of your life, even when you could not see it. While you were worrying, I was working. While you were waiting, I was preparing. While you were questioning, I was arranging things in ways that your eyes could not yet understand. That is why this moment matters. The enemy of your peace has tried to convince you that nothing is changing. Fear has attempted to tell you that your best days are behind you. Doubt has tried to make you believe that your story will always remain the same. But those voices do not speak the truth. My beloved child, I am inviting you into a journey. Over these moments together, I will remind you of who you are, how deeply you are loved, and why your future is still filled with hope. What seems impossible today is not impossible for me. So take a deep breath and stay with me. Open it now. Open your heart. Open your expectations. Open your eyes to what I am about to reveal. Because this moment is for you. My beloved child, before this moment ever reached your life, I already knew you would be here. Before your eyes opened this morning, I knew every thought that would pass through your mind. Before you faced the challenges of this day, I already stood in the hours ahead of you. Nothing about your journey has surprised me, and nothing you have experienced has ever been outside my sight. There have been times when you felt unseen, times when it seemed as though your efforts went unnoticed and your struggles remained hidden from everyone around you. You carried responsibilities that few people understood. You fought battles in silence. You kept moving forward even when your strength felt almost gone. There were moments when you wondered if anyone truly recognized how hard you were trying. I recognized it all. I was there during the nights when sleep would not come easily. I was there when your heart felt heavy and your thoughts seemed endless. I was there when disappointment arrived unexpectedly, leaving questions you could not answer. Even in the moments when you felt abandoned, I never stepped away from you. My child, one of the greatest fears people carry is the fear of being forgotten. Deep within the human heart is a longing to be known, understood, and remembered. Yet I want you to hear me clearly today. You have never been forgotten. Long before you arrived at this point in your life, I saw every step that would bring you here. I saw the victories and the setbacks. I saw the relationships that would strengthen you and the ones that would wound you. I saw the opportunities that would open and the doors that would close. Through every season, my eyes remained upon you. Imagine a traveler walking through a dense forest. The path twists and turns beneath towering trees. From where the traveler stands, only a few steps ahead can be seen. Every bend creates uncertainty. Every shadow raises questions. Yet high above the forest, someone looking from the mountaintop can see the entire trail from beginning to end. My beloved child, you have often seen only the next few steps, but I have always seen the entire path. That is why there were moments when I did not allow certain doors to open. That is why some delays occurred when you desperately wanted immediate answers. It was not because I had forgotten you. It was because I could see what you could not yet see. Many times you interpreted waiting as rejection. You interpreted silence as absence. You interpreted delay as denial. Yet behind the scenes, I was protecting you from paths that would not have led to your purpose. I was arranging circumstances that required more time than you realized. Even now, there are pieces of your story you do not fully understand. There are events from your past that still leave questions in your heart. But one day you will look back and see that my hand was present in places where you thought you were completely alone. I saw you when your confidence was shaken. I saw you when your plans fell apart. I saw you when people misunderstood you. I saw you when tears filled your eyes. I saw you when you smiled in front of others while carrying pain inside. And because I saw you, I never stopped working on your behalf. My beloved child, there is something beautiful about being fully known and fully loved at the same time. Humans often fear being completely known because they worry that their weaknesses will cause others to walk away. But my love does not operate that way. I know every weakness, every fear, every mistake, and every wound. I know the parts of your story you rarely share. Yet my love for you remains constant. It does not rise and fall based on your performance. It does not disappear when you stumble. It remains steady because it flows from my heart, not from your circumstances. As you continue this journey with me, remember this truth whenever doubt tries to enter your mind. I did not discover you today. I have known you from the very beginning. I was watching over you before you arrived here, and I will continue watching over you long after this moment passes. You are not lost in a crowd. You are not forgotten in the middle of your struggle. You are not invisible to heaven. I saw you before you arrived here, my child. And because I have seen every step of your journey, you can trust me with every step that still lies ahead. My beloved child, there is something I want to talk about today that you may not discuss with many people. It is the weight you have been carrying for far too long. Many who look at you see only what is on the surface. They see your daily routines, your responsibilities, your smile, your efforts to keep moving forward. But I see deeper than appearances. I see the burdens hidden beneath your words. I see the pressure you have learned to carry quietly. I see the exhaustion that sometimes settles into your heart even when your body appears strong. You have become so accustomed to carrying certain weights that you hardly notice them anymore. Yet I notice them. I notice the disappointment that still lingers from things that did not happen the way you hoped. I notice the memories that occasionally return without warning. I notice the questions that remain unanswered and the worries that seem to follow you from one day to the next. My child, some burdens are visible, but many are invisible. There are people carrying heavy boxes that everyone can see, and there are others carrying invisible burdens that no one notices. Often, the invisible burdens are the heaviest of all. They are carried in the mind. They are carried in the heart. They are carried through silent thoughts and private struggles. Perhaps you have been carrying concern about your future. You wonder how certain situations will work out. You try to prepare for every possibility because uncertainty makes you uncomfortable. You replay conversations. You analyze problems. You search for solution. Yet despite all your efforts, peace sometimes feels just out of reach. Or perhaps you carry the weight of past wounds. Someone hurt you. Someone disappointed you. Someone failed to give you the love, support, or understanding you desperately needed. Though time has passed, part of your heart still remembers the pain. I know those wounds. I know the moments that shaped them. I know the scars that remain. And I know how tired you have become from carrying them. Imagine a traveler walking a long road while carrying a backpack filled with stones. At first, the weight seems manageable. The traveler adjusts and keeps moving. But mile after mile, the burden grows heavier. The shoulders ache. The back becomes sore. The journey becomes more difficult than it was meant to be. Yet what if many of those stones were never meant to be carried in the first place? My beloved child, there are burdens you were never designed to carry alone. You were not created to carry endless fear. You were not created to carry constant anxiety. You were not created to carry every unanswered question. You were not created to carry guilt from mistakes that have already passed. You were not created to carry the responsibility of controlling everything around you. Some of the weight you feel today comes from trying to hold things that belong in my hands. I say this not to criticize you, but to free you. Because I understand why you try to carry it all. You want to protect yourself. You want to protect the people you love. You want certainty. You want stability. You want assurance that everything will be okay. But there are limits to what human strength can accomplish. When you attempt to carry every burden alone, your soul becomes weary. Your joy begins to fade. Your peace becomes fragile. Eventually, you find yourself struggling under a weight that was never yours to bear. That is why I am inviting you to release what has been crushing your spirit. Not because your concerns are unimportant. Not because your pain is imaginary. Not because your struggles are insignificant. But because I care about them more deeply than you know. Every burden that troubles your heart matters to me. Every tear matters to me. Every fear matters to me. Every disappointment matters to me. There is nothing too small for my attention and nothing too heavy for my strength. My child, you do not have to pretend to be strong all the time. You do not have to hide your weariness from me. You do not have to carry every burden in silence. Bring your worries to me. Bring your fears to me. Bring your questions to me. Bring your broken pieces to me. I am not asking you to have every answer today. I am not asking you to solve every problem before the sun rises tomorrow. I am simply asking you to trust me with what has become too heavy for your heart. As this journey continues, I want you to remember something important. The weight you have been carrying does not define you. The burden is not your identity. The struggle is not your future. You are my beloved child. And little by little, step by step, I am teaching you how to walk in freedom instead of fear, peace instead of pressure, and trust instead of exhaustion. You do not have to carry it alone anymore. My beloved child, I know there have been days when you have looked around and quietly asked, "Why has this season been so hard?" You may not have spoken those words aloud, but I have heard them in your heart. I have seen the confusion that comes when life does not unfold the way you expected. I have seen the frustration of waiting, the pain of setbacks, and the weariness that comes from carrying hope through difficult circumstances. There are moments when you expected progress, yet encountered obstacles. Moments when you expected clarity, yet found uncertainty. Moments when you expected relief, yet faced another challenge. And because of this, you have sometimes wondered whether you were moving in the wrong direction or whether I was still with you at all. But my beloved child, the difficulty of a season is not proof of my absence. In fact, some of the most important work I do in your life happens during the seasons that feel the most challenging. Imagine a sculptor standing before a large block of stone. To an observer, the process may seem harsh. Pieces are chipped away. The surface is struck repeatedly. Fragments fall to the ground. Yet the sculptor is not destroying the stone. The sculptor is revealing the masterpiece hidden inside it. Many times when life feels difficult, you assume something is being lost. But often, I am revealing something greater than what is being removed. I am strengthening patience where frustration once lived. I am building wisdom where confusion once ruled. I am creating courage where fear once held authority. I am developing endurance that will carry you into places you could not reach before. The truth is that growth often feels uncomfortable. A tree does not become strong during calm weather alone. Its roots grow deeper when strong winds challenge it. The storms it survives become part of the reason it stands so firmly later. You, too, have been developing roots. Even when you could not see it. Even when you felt stuck. Even when progress seemed invisible. Every challenge has been teaching you lessons that comfort alone could never teach. I know there were times when you prayed for immediate answers. You wanted a clear path. You wanted certainty. You wanted every question resolved. Yet sometimes I allowed the path to remain hidden because I was teaching you to trust me one step at a time rather than relying solely on what you could see. My child, there is a difference between knowing the destination and learning to trust the guide. You often focus on the destination. I focus on the relationship. Because if you learn to trust me deeply, then even when future challenges arise, you will know that you are never facing them alone. Perhaps one reason this season has felt difficult is because you have been standing between what was and what will be. You are no longer the person you once were, but you have not fully stepped into the person you are becoming. Transitions are rarely comfortable. The caterpillar experiences struggle before becoming a butterfly. The seed disappears beneath the soil before it becomes a flourishing plant. The dawn appears only after the longest hours of darkness. In the middle of transformation, things often look confusing. That is where many people lose hope. They judge the story before it is finished. They assume the struggle is the ending when it is only a chapter. But my beloved child, I see the completed story while you are still living through the pages. I know where this road leads. I know the strength you are gaining. I know the wisdom being formed inside you. I know the blessings that are being prepared beyond your current horizon. One day you will look back and realize that some of the seasons you wanted to escape became the seasons that shaped you most profoundly. You will see how difficulties taught you compassion, how waiting taught you patience, how uncertainty taught you dependence on me. You will understand that what felt like a delay was often preparation. What felt like silence was often protection. What felt like a closed door was often redirection. So do not measure my faithfulness by the ease of your circumstances. Do not assume that hardship means abandonment. Do not believe that challenges are evidence that your future is lost. I am still working. I am still guiding. I am still preparing. And even in this difficult season, I am closer than you realize. Hold on, my beloved child. The chapter you are living now is not the end of your story. There is purpose in this season, even if you cannot yet see it. And when the time comes, you will discover that I was carrying you through every difficult step, shaping you for something far greater than you ever imagined. My beloved child, there is something I want you to understand today. Not every closed door is a permanent ending. Not every disappointment is a final answer. Not every loss is proof that your story has reached its conclusion. I know there are doors in your life that you once stood before with hope. You prayed. You planned. You believed. You imagined what could happen if those doors opened. Perhaps it was a relationship you wanted to succeed. Perhaps it was an opportunity you worked hard to obtain. Perhaps it was a dream you carried for years. Perhaps it was a future you could almost see with your own eyes. And something happened. The door remained shut. The opportunity disappeared. The relationship ended. The plan unraveled. The dream seemed to slip away. And little by little, you began convincing yourself that the chapter was over forever. My beloved child, I know how painful that feeling can be. There is a unique kind of grief that comes from losing something you never fully received. It is the grief of unrealized possibilities. The grief of wondering what might have been. The grief of carrying unanswered questions long after the moment has passed. You may have told yourself that you have moved on. You may have learned how to continue with life. But deep inside, part of your heart still wonders whether certain hopes are gone forever. Today I want to speak directly into that place. Just because a door has been closed does not mean I have abandoned the promise of blessing in your life. Sometimes a closed door is protection. Sometimes a closed door is preparation. Sometimes a closed door is redirection. And sometimes a closed door is simply waiting for the right time. Imagine a young gardener planting a tree. After placing the seed into the soil, he visits the spot every day. He looks for signs of growth. He hopes to see something breaking through the ground. But day after day, nothing appears. Eventually, the gardener becomes discouraged. He assumes nothing is happening. He begins to believe the seed has failed. Yet beneath the surface, roots are growing. The most important work is taking place where his eyes cannot see it. My child, there have been moments when you judged the outcome before the process was complete. You saw the closed door but not the preparation behind it. You saw the delay but not the development. You saw the silence but not the movement occurring beneath the surface. I have never stopped working on your behalf. Even during seasons when everything appeared frozen, I was still arranging details. I was still preparing opportunities. I was still protecting you from paths that would have brought unnecessary pain. I was still guiding your life toward purposes greater than you understood. There is a story unfolding that is larger than any single disappointment. I know there are dreams you buried because you became tired of hoping. There are prayers you stopped praying because too much time passed. There are possibilities you no longer allow yourself to imagine because disappointment taught you to guard your heart. But my beloved child, I am able to do things beyond the limits of your expectations. What seems finished to you is not necessarily finished to me. What appears impossible to you remains possible in my hands. Some doors that closed were never meant to reopen because I have something better ahead. Other doors may reopen when the timing is finally right. But whether the blessing arrives in its original form or in a completely unexpected way, my plans for you have not been canceled. Do not confuse a season of waiting with a lifetime of defeat. Do not mistake a temporary setback for a permanent conclusion. Do not allow yesterday's disappointment to become the architect of tomorrow's expectations. The enemy often tries to convince people that because something did not happen once, it can never happen. He points to past failures and says, "See, nothing will ever change." But I am not limited by your past. I am not restricted by previous outcomes. I am not defeated by circumstances. I am the God who creates pathways where none seem to exist. I am the God who restores hope to weary hearts. I am the God who brings life into places that appear forgotten. My beloved child, lift your eyes beyond the closed door. Look beyond what did not happen. Look beyond what was lost. Look beyond the disappointment. There is still more ahead of you. There are blessings you have not yet imagined. There are answers you have not yet received. There are opportunities that have not yet arrived. There are moments of joy that are still making their way toward you. The story is not over. The chapter that hurt you is not the final chapter. And the door you thought was closed forever is not greater than my ability to guide your future. Trust me a little longer. Hope a little longer. Walk with me a little further. Because what I have prepared for you is bigger than what you thought you lost, and my plans for your life are still unfolding one beautiful step at a time. My beloved child, if there is one truth I want to settle deeply into your heart today, it is this: you are not forgotten. I know there have been moments when it felt that way. Moments when your prayers seemed to rise into silence. Moments when you watched others move forward while you remained in a season of waiting. Moments when you wondered why certain answers had not arrived and why certain burdens had remained longer than you expected. In those moments, a quiet question often appeared within your heart: has God forgotten about me? My beloved child, the answer has always been no. I have never forgotten you for a single moment. Not when you felt strong, not when you felt weak, not when you were confident, not when you were discouraged, not when you believed, not even when doubt tried to fill your mind. My eyes have remained upon you through every season. Sometimes human beings measure attention by visible results. If something changes quickly, they assume may have been heard. If answers come immediately, they feel remembered. But when answers take time, fear begins to whisper dangerous conclusions. Fear says, you have been overlooked. Fear says, others matter more. Fear says, nothing is happening. Fear says, your story no longer matters. But fear does not speak for me. The truth is that I know details about your life that no one else sees. I know the battles you have overcome without recognition. I know the sacrifices you have made that nobody applauded. I know the moments when you chose kindness despite your own pain. I know the times you continued moving forward even when your strength felt nearly exhausted. Every step had been seen. Every prayer had been heard. Every tear has been counted. Every act of faith has been noticed. Nothing hath been wasted. Imagine a shepherd with a flock spread across a hillside. To an observer, the sheep may appear identical. Yet the shepherd knows each one individually. He notices when one wanders. He notices when one is injured. He notices when one becomes weak or frightened. The shepherd does not lose awareness simply because the sheep cannot see him every moment. My beloved child, there have been seasons when you could not clearly see my hand, but I never lost sight of you. I knew exactly where you were. I knew exactly what you needed. I knew exactly what was happening inside your heart, and I remained near. Many people assume that if I truly cared, I would remove every challenge immediately. But my care is often demonstrated not by removing every obstacle, but by staying with you while you walk through them. I have been strengthening you. I have been guiding you. I have been protecting you from dangers you never noticed. I have been opening paths that were invisible to you. I have been arranging circumstances beyond your understanding. Even now, there are blessings moving toward your life that you cannot yet see. There are answers developing beyond your current horizon. There are connections being formed. There are opportunities being prepared. There are doors being positioned for the right moment. Just because something has not appeared yet does not mean it is not coming. A sunrise exists before the first ray becomes visible. A harvest exists before the first fruit appears. A masterpiece exists in the heart of the artist long before it is revealed to the world. In the same way, many things I am doing in your life are unfolding beyond your present view. My beloved child, I know waiting can feel lonely. Waiting often creates questions. Waiting can make you wonder whether progress is happening at all. But I want you to remember something important. Delay is not abandonment. Silence is not absence. Waiting is not rejection. The fact that you have not seen the full answer yet does not mean I have forgotten the prayer. I remember promises long after people stop expecting them. I remember dreams long after people stop speaking about them. I remember hopes long after discouragement tries to bury them. And I remember you. There has never been a day when your name disappeared from my heart. There has never been a moment when your struggles became invisible to me. There has never been a season when my love for you weakened. You may forget your own strength at times. You may lose sight of your purpose. You may question your future. But I never question your value. You are my beloved child. Not because of what you accomplish. Not because of how perfectly you perform. Not because of how strong you appear. You are loved because you are mine. So when fear tries to convince you that you have been forgotten, answer it with this truth. My Father sees me. When doubt says that nothing is happening, answer it with this truth. My Father is working even when I cannot see it. And when discouragement tries to settle into your heart, remember these words. My beloved child, I have not forgotten you. I have not abandoned you. I have not overlooked your tears, your prayers, your hopes, or your future. I know exactly where you are. I know exactly what I am doing. And I am still writing a beautiful story with your life. My beloved child, today I want to tell you a story. There was once a small seed resting in the palm of a gardener's hand. It was ordinary in appearance. No one looking at it would have imagined the life hidden within it. It seemed small, fragile, and insignificant. One day, the gardener placed the seed deep into the soil. The moment the seed disappeared beneath the earth, everything changed. Darkness surrounded it. The warmth of the sun could no longer be felt. The wide sky it once knew was gone from view. The seed found itself buried in a place it never expected. If the seed could speak, perhaps it would have cried out, "What happened? Why have I been placed here? Why has everything become dark? Why have I been hidden away?" From the seed's perspective, it may have appeared that its life was ending. But the gardener knew something the seed did not know. The burial was not the end. It was the beginning. My beloved child, there have been seasons in your life when you felt like that seed. You found yourself in circumstances you never expected. The future became unclear. The path became uncertain. The answers seemed hidden. You looked around and saw darkness where you once saw clarity. You felt forgotten when you were actually being planted. You felt buried when you were actually being prepared. This is one of the greatest misunderstandings people experience during difficult seasons. They mistake preparation for punishment. They mistake hidden growth for failure. a mistake waiting for abandonment. But what looks like a barrel from your perspective often looks like planting from mine. The seed beneath the soil cannot see what is happening. Day after day passes. Nothing appears to change. The darkness remains. The silence continues. Yet deep within the seed, life has begun to awaken. Roots are forming. Growth is beginning. Transformation is taking place, and none of it is visible. My child, there are seasons when the most important growth in your life happens where nobody can see it. The world often celebrates visible success. It applauds achievements, accomplishments, and breakthroughs. But many of the greatest miracles begin in hidden places. Character grows in hidden places. Faith grows in hidden places. Wisdom grows in hidden places. Trust grows in hidden places. Strength grows in hidden places. The person you are becoming is often formed long before anyone notices the results. Perhaps right now you feel as though your efforts are unseen. You are trying to remain faithful. You are trying to keep believing. You are trying to move forward despite uncertainty. Yet the progress feels invisible. My beloved child, invisible does not mean non-existent. Just because you cannot see growth does not mean growth is not happening. The seed does not break through the soil on the day it is planted. First, roots must develop. First, a foundation must be established. First, strength must grow beneath the surface. If the seed rushed upward before its roots were prepared, it would not survive the storms ahead. In the same way, I have been strengthening parts of you that will support the future I am preparing. I have been developing patience. I have been building resilience. I have been teaching trust. I have been shaping your heart. And although these changes may not be immediately visible, they are real. Imagine if the seed became discouraged and decided growth was impossible simply because it could not see the sunlight yet. Imagine if it surrendered before the first green shoot appeared. How much beauty would remain undiscovered? How much potential would never be realized? My beloved child, do not give up simply because you are in a hidden season. Do not abandon hope because the results have not appeared yet. Do not assume the story is over because the chapter feels difficult. The gardener has not forgotten the seed, and I have not forgotten you. Every day beneath the soil is serving a purpose. Every moment of waiting is contributing to something greater. Every challenge is strengthening you for what lies ahead. One day, the seed finally breaks through the surface. The sunlight touches it again. The air surrounds it. What once looked like endless darkness suddenly reveals itself as necessary preparation. The seed realizes that it was never abandoned. It was being transformed. My beloved child, one day you will look back and understand that many of the seasons you feared were actually preparing you for blessings you could not yet imagine. You will see that I was working beneath the surface all along. You will recognize the roots that were forming. You will understand why patience was necessary. And you will discover that what felt like being buried was actually the beginning of new life. So remain faithful in the hidden places. Trust me in the quiet seasons. Believe even when growth seems invisible. Because beneath the surface of your life, something beautiful is already beginning to grow, and in the right time, it will rise into the light for all to see. My beloved child, there is something I want you to remember whenever uncertainty tries to fill your mind. Just because you cannot see what I am doing does not mean I am doing nothing. Many times, you look at your current circumstances and try to understand your future based only on what is visible. You examine today's situation and assume tomorrow will look the same. You see the challenges in front of you, the unanswered questions around you, and the limitations that seem to surround you. then you wonder how anything could possibly change. But my child, your vision is limited to what stands before you today. Mine is not. I see what is happening behind doors you have never opened. I see conversations you have never heard. I see opportunities you have never imagined. I see connections that have not yet entered your life. I see answers that are already moving toward you. And while you have been waiting, I have been working. Imagine a master builder constructing a great house. The people passing by can only see what is visible from the outside. They may notice piles of materials. They may see unfinished walls. They may even believe little progress is being made. Yet inside the structure, workers are laying foundations, installing support beams, and preparing rooms that are not yet visible to the public eye. The most important work often happens before anyone can admire the finished result. My beloved child, much of what I am doing in your life right now is foundation work. You may wish for immediate results, but I am building something designed to last. You may desire quick answers, but I am preparing lasting solutions. You may want rapid change, but I am creating deeper transformation. The blessings I have prepared for you are not random events. They are carefully arranged pieces of a larger story. There are moments when you assume a delay means nothing is happening, but delays often contain preparation. Think about the farmer who plants a field. After sowing the seeds, he cannot demand a harvest the following morning. There is a process taking place beneath the soil. Time is required. Conditions must align. Growth must occur. In the same way, there are things I have been cultivating in your life that require patience. Some opportunities require growth before they arrive. Some relationships require timing before they begin. Some answers require preparation before they make sense. If I handed you everything immediately, you might receive the blessing but miss the wisdom needed to sustain it. So while you have been waiting, I have been preparing both the blessing and the person who will receive it. That person is you. I have been strengthening areas of your life that you may not even recognize. I have been teaching lessons that will become valuable later. I have been shaping your character. I have been increasing your understanding. I have been developing endurance that will help you navigate future seasons with greater confidence. My child, there are things happening around you that you cannot yet see. There are people whose paths will cross yours at exactly the right moment. There are opportunities already beginning to form. There are solutions developing for problems that currently seem impossible. There are breakthroughs moving quietly through circumstances beyond your awareness. The world often celebrates visible miracles, but many miracles begin long before they are seen. The answer often begins before the announcement. The provision often begins before the need becomes obvious. The breakthrough often begins before the obstacle moves. I am working in places your eyes cannot reach. I am opening paths your mind cannot yet imagine. I am arranging details that would be impossible for you to coordinate on your own. And because of this, you do not need to carry the burden of controlling everything. You do not need to force every door open. You do not need to solve every problem by your own strength. Your responsibility is not to manage the entire future. Your responsibility is to trust me one step at a time. There is a great difference between waiting anxiously and waiting expectantly. Anxious waiting focuses on fear. Expectant waiting focuses on trust. Anxious waiting assumes the worst. Expectant waiting believes that good things are still possible. I am inviting you into expectant waiting, not because every circumstance will instantly become easy, not because every question will immediately disappear, but because you can trust the one who sees what you cannot see. My beloved child, when you feel discouraged, remember this truth. There is more happening than you realize. When you feel forgotten, remember this truth: I am still working. When progress seems invisible, remember this truth: preparation is taking place. And when fear tells you that nothing will ever change, remember this truth: I have been preparing things behind the scenes long before you notice the first sign of movement. The story is advancing even now. The pieces are coming together even now. The path is being prepared even now. So lift your eyes beyond what is visible today. Trust my timing. Trust my wisdom. Trust my heart. Because behind the scenes, my beloved child, I am arranging far more than you can currently see, and in the right moment, you will begin to understand why I asked you to keep believing. My beloved child, there is an enemy that has followed many of your steps. It does not always announce itself loudly. It does not always arrive as panic or overwhelming anxiety. Sometimes it whispers. Sometimes it disguises itself as caution. Sometimes it appears as a reasonable concern. But beneath its many forms, it carries the same purpose: to stop you from moving forward. That enemy is fear. I know how often fear has visited your thoughts. Fear of failure. Fear of disappointment. Fear of making the wrong decision. Fear of being hurt again. Fear of not having enough. Fear of losing what matters most to you. Fear of stepping into the unknown. These fears may seem different on the surface, but they all attempt to accomplish the same thing. They try to convince you that safety is found in staying still rather than trusting me. My child, fear rarely begins with a shout. It often begins with a question. What if things go wrong? What if you are not strong enough? What if you fail? What if nothing changes? What if you hope again and get hurt again? Little by little, those questions begin building walls around your heart. Before long, the fear of pain becomes greater than the desire to move forward. I know there have been times when fear caused you to hesitate. There were opportunities you questioned, dreams you delayed, conversations you avoided, steps you postponed. Not because you lacked ability, but because fear convinced you that the risk was too great. Imagine a traveler standing before a bridge that leads to a beautiful destination. The bridge is strong. The path is secure. Yet the traveler becomes so focused on the possibility of falling that he never experiences the beauty waiting on the other side. The tragedy is not that the bridge was unsafe. The tragedy is that fear prevented the journey. My beloved child, fear has tried to do the same thing in your life. It has tried to keep your eyes fixed on worst-case scenarios. It has tried to magnify obstacles while hiding possibilities. It has tried to convince you that the future is something to dread instead of something to anticipate. But fear is a poor guide. Fear only sees danger. I see purpose. Fear only sees uncertainty. I see possibility. Fear only sees obstacles. I see opportunities. Fear only sees what might be lost. I see what can be gained. The truth is that many of the blessings I have prepared for you exist beyond the boundaries of your comfort zone. They require trust. They require faith. They require the willingness to take a step before every detail becomes visible. That does not mean you will never feel afraid. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is choosing to move forward even when fear is present. Some of the strongest people you admire were afraid at certain moments. They simply refused to let fear make their decisions for them. My beloved child, there is a difference between listening to fear and listening to wisdom. Wisdom helps you make careful decisions. Fear tries to convince you not to make any decisions at all. Wisdom encourages preparation. Fear encourages paralysis. Wisdom helps you move thoughtfully. Fear keeps you trapped in endless hesitation. I have not called you to live trapped by fear. I have called you to live guided by trust. Trust does not mean you will have every answer. Trust does not mean every road will be easy. Trust does not mean every outcome will unfold exactly as you expect. Trust means believing that even when you cannot see the entire path, I can. Think back to the seasons we have already spoken about together. The hidden seed beneath the soil. The preparation behind the scenes. The doors that seem permanently closed. In every one of those situations, fear wanted you to believe the story was over. Yet the story was still unfolding. And it is still unfolding now. There are things fear had been telling you that simply are not true. Fear says you are alone. I say I am with you. Fear says you are not enough. I say you are deeply loved and carefully created. Fear says your future is limited. I say your story is still being written. Fear says nothing will change. I say I am working even now. My beloved child, do not surrender your future to fears that have never seen the plans I have prepared for you. Do not allow yesterday's disappointments to become tomorrow's expectations. Do not let old wounds convince you that new blessings are impossible. There is more ahead of you than fear wants you to believe. There is greater strength within you than fear wants you to recognize. And there is more hope available to you than fear wants you to imagine. When fear knocks at the door of your mind, do not give it authority over your future. Bring your fears to me. Bring your worries to me. Bring your uncertainties to me. You do not have to fight them alone. For every fearful thought, there is a greater truth. For every anxious prediction, there is a greater promise. And for every obstacle standing before you, there is a Father walking beside you. So lift your eyes, my beloved child. Fear may have tried to stop you, but it does not have the final word. I do, and I am leading you forward. My beloved child, after everything we have spoken about so far, there is something important I need you to understand. The goal is not for you to wait until every fear disappears before you move forward. The goal is for you to trust me enough to take the next step, even if your hands tremble and your heart feels uncertain. Many people believe they must become completely fearless before they can walk into a new season. They think courage arrives first and action follows. But most of the time, courage grows while you are moving, not while you are standing still. Think about a child learning to walk. The child does not wait until balance is perfected. The child takes a step, stumbles, gets up, and tries again. Strength develops through movement. Confidence develops through experience. Growth happens through the willingness to keep going despite uncertainty. My beloved child, there are areas of your life where I have been gently calling you forward. Perhaps it is a dream you have delayed because you are afraid of failure. Perhaps it is a decision you have postponed because you want absolute certainty. Perhaps it is a conversation you know you need to have. Perhaps it is a new beginning that feels both exciting and frightening at the same time. You keep asking for complete clarity before taking action. Yet sometimes I reveal the path one step at a time because I want you to learn that your confidence should not be in perfect circumstances. Your confidence should be in me. Imagine walking through a dark valley with a lantern. The lantern does not illuminate the entire journey at once. It only reveals the next few steps. Yet those few steps are enough to keep moving forward. Many times, that is how my guidance works. You want the entire map. I provide the next step. You want every answer. I provide enough light for today. You want guarantees. I provide my presence. And my presence is enough. The enemy often wants you to believe that one wrong step will ruin everything. He wants you trapped in endless analysis, endless hesitation, endless fear. But my child, your future is not so fragile that one imperfect step can destroy my plans. I am greater than your mistakes. I am greater than your fears. I am greater than your uncertainties. What I ask from you is not perfection. What I ask is trust. Trust me enough to move. Trust me enough to believe. Trust me enough to continue. There will be moments when your knees feel weak. There will be moments when doubt tries to return. There will be moments when the road ahead feels unfamiliar. But do not mistake discomfort for danger. Many new beginnings feel uncomfortable because they require growth. Remember the seed beneath the soil. Remember the preparation behind the scenes. Remember the doors you thought were closed forever. Remember the fears that tried to stop you. Every one of those lessons has been preparing you for this truth. The next chapter begins when you take the next step. Not a giant leap. Not a perfect plan. Just the next faithful step. My beloved child, stop measuring your readiness by the absence of fear. Measure it by the presence of my hand upon your life. You do not need to know everything. You only need to know who is walking with you. And I am. I have been with you in every difficult season. I have carried you through every valley. I have strengthened you through every challenge. And I will not abandon you now. So if your heart trembles, step forward anyway. If uncertainty remains, step forward anyway. If the future feels unclear, step forward anyway. Because I am already waiting for you in the places where your faith is leading you. And as you step forward, let this mission continue reaching hearts that need these words. My beloved child, when you sow into a field, you participate in a harvest far beyond what your eyes can see. Through a super thanks, membership, or a PayPal gift found in the video description, and through the QR code in this video, you help streams of hope flow into weary hearts across the world. As I say in my word, give, and it will be given to you, and this promise is still alive, speaking directly to those who answer my call. Hear me now, my child. If this message has strengthened your faith, become a light so another soul can find their way home. Every seed you plant helps carry my love, my comfort, and my truth to someone standing in darkness. Do not underestimate the power of one act of obedience. The harvest of changed lives is already waiting in the field. I bless every giver with renewed peace, fresh strength, and unexpected provision. Let your generosity become a river that refuses to stop flowing. Let your support become oil for this mission and light for countless hearts. Respond to this moment now, and sow the seed I place upon your heart. My beloved child, whether you fully realize it yet or not, you are standing at the edge of a new chapter. I know that from where you stand today, it may not look dramatically different. The same responsibilities may still be waiting for you tomorrow. Some of the same challenges may still need attention. Certain prayers may still appear unanswered. Yet beneath the surface, something is changing. A transition has already begun. Many people imagine new chapters as sudden events. They expect dramatic signs, immediate transformations, and instant clarity. But often, the beginning of a new chapter is much quieter than they expect. It starts with a shift in perspective, a renewed sense of hope, a deeper understanding, a growing willingness to trust me where fear once held influence. Before circumstances change around you, something often changes within you. And my child, I have been working within you. You are not the same person who entered the difficult seasons you have walked through. You are not the same person who faced those earlier disappointments. You are not the same person who once felt completely overwhelmed by uncertainty. The experiences you have endured have shaped you. The lessons you have learned have strengthened you. The wisdom you have gained has prepared you. Even the pain you wish to avoid has contributed to the person you are becoming. Imagine an author writing a great story. At the end of one chapter, the reader may feel uncertain. Questions remain unanswered. Challenges still exist. The future is not yet clear. Yet the turning of the page changes everything. The next chapter introduces new possibilities. New relationships emerge. New opportunities appear. New understanding develops. The story begins moving in a direction that was impossible to see earlier. My beloved child, you have been standing at the edge of that page. For a long time, your attention has been focused on what happened before. The disappointments, the delays, the fears, the closed doors, the struggles that seemed to linger longer than expected. But I am inviting you to lift your eyes toward what lies ahead. Not because the past was meaningless, not because your struggles were unnecessary, but because your future deserves your attention more than your disappointments. There are people who remain trapped in old chapters because they refuse to release what has already happened. They replay old wounds. They relive old failures. They revisit old fears until those experiences become larger than the possibilities waiting before them. I do not want that for you. The lessons of the past should guide you, but they should not imprison you. The wounds of the past should teach you, but they should not define you. The disappointments of the past should strengthen you, but they should not determine your expectations for the future. My child, there is fresh hope ahead. There is fresh purpose ahead. There is fresh joy ahead. There are moments waiting for you that have not yet entered your imagination. You may not see them clearly yet, but I do. I see conversations that will encourage you. I see opportunities that will surprise you. I see doors opening at the right time. I see prayers receiving answers. I see growth continuing in ways you cannot yet measure. And most importantly, I see you becoming the person I have always known you could be. Sometimes people believe they need a completely different life before they can experience a new chapter. But often, a new chapter begins with a new heart. A heart that trusts more deeply. A heart that fears less intensely. A heart that believes my promises more than it believes its worries. A heart that understands that no matter what lies ahead, it will not walk alone. My beloved child, I am not asking you to have every answer. I am not asking you to understand every detail of my plan. I am not asking you to eliminate every doubt overnight. I am simply asking you to remain open to what I am doing. Remain open to hope. Remain open to growth. Remain open to unexpected blessings. Remain open to new beginnings. Because many of the things you have been praying for require you to leave the old chapter behind. You cannot fully embrace what is ahead while constantly staring at what is behind. The page is turning. The story is moving forward. The season is changing. And while there may still be challenges ahead, you will not face them as the person you once were. You have grown. You have learned. You have endured. And you are stronger than you realize. So step into this new chapter with confidence, my beloved child. Do not let fear pull you backward. Do not let old disappointments silence your hope. Do not let uncertainty convince you that nothing is changing. Because I tell you today, a new chapter is beginning. And I am already waiting for you in every page that lies ahead. My beloved child, I know there have been seasons that felt like night. Not the kind of night that lasts a few hours and ends with the sunrise. I am speaking about the deeper nights of life. The seasons when hope felt distant. The seasons when answers seemed hidden. The seasons when your heart carried questions that remained unresolved for far longer than you expected. You know those nights. The nights when worry tried to keep you awake. The nights when disappointment replayed itself in your thoughts. The nights when you wondered if anything would ever change. The nights when the future felt uncertain and the path ahead seemed impossible to see. I know those nights because I was with you through every one of them. My beloved child, one of the greatest struggles people face during difficult seasons is the temptation to believe that their current condition will last forever. When pain continues, they begin to think it will never end. When waiting continues, they begin to think answers will never come. When darkness lingers, they begin to believe the sun has disappeared. But darkness has a way of creating illusions. It convinces people that temporary conditions are permanent realities. It persuades them that because they cannot see the light no longer exists. Yet the truth is very different. The sunrise exists long before it appears on the horizon. Even during the darkest hour of the night, dawn is already approaching. My child, there are things moving toward your life right now that you cannot yet see. Hope is moving toward you. Strength is moving toward you. Healing is moving toward you. Understanding is moving toward you. New opportunities are moving toward you. The dawn may not be visible yet, but it is closer than you think. Imagine a traveler crossing a desert through the night. The darkness surrounds him. The landscape looks endless. Every direction appears the same. Exhaustion settles into his body, and he begins to wonder if morning will ever arrive. Then, slowly, almost imperceptibly, the horizon begins to change. A faint light appears. The traveler realizes that while he was worrying, time was still moving forward. Morning had been approaching the entire time. My beloved child, some of you have been living in spiritual and emotional night seasons. You have been walking through uncertainty, grief, disappointment. We're waiting. You have looked around and seen little evidence that circumstances are improving. But I want you to understand something important. Your inability to see progress does not mean progress is absent. Many changes begin before they become visible. The dawn starts before the sun appears. The harvest begins before the fruit is seen. The breakthrough begins before the obstacle moves. And healing often begins before the pain completely disappears. I know that waiting can be difficult. Waiting tests patience. Waiting tests faith. Waiting tests trust. Yet many beautiful things require time. A seed needs time beneath the soil. A tree needs time to grow strong roots. A masterpiece requires time to be completed. And many of the things I am doing in your life require time as well. Not because I enjoy making you wait. Not because I have forgotten your prayers. But because I am working in ways that are deeper and more complete than you currently understand. Sometimes people ask me to remove the night immediately. Yet occasionally, I use the night to reveal things that would remain hidden in the daylight. The stars are most visible in darkness. Certain lessons are learned in difficulty. Certain strengths are developed through struggle. Certain forms of trust grow only when sight is limited. My beloved child, I am not saying the night itself is the blessing. I am saying that I can bring blessings even from the night. I can bring wisdom from confusion. I can bring strength from weakness. I can bring purpose from pain. I can bring beauty from brokenness. And I can bring morning from darkness. The enemy wants you to focus entirely on how long the night has lasted. I want you to remember that the night has limits. Darkness does not rule forever. Pain does not rule forever. Fear does not rule forever. Waiting does not rule forever. There is an appointed time for the dawn. And when it arrives, much of what once felt overwhelming will begin to look different. You will see that I was present all along. You will recognize my hand in places you previously overlooked. You will understand that the night did not destroy you. It prepared you. It strengthened you. It taught you to lean on me in ways you never had before. So if you are weary today, hold on a little longer. If you are discouraged today, keep believing a little longer. If you feel surrounded by darkness, keep trusting a little longer. Do not judge your future by the appearance of the present moment. Do not conclude that the night is endless simply because it has lasted longer than expected. My beloved child, listen carefully. The night is a season. It is not your identity. It is not your destination. And it is not your forever. The dawn is coming. The light is returning. And when the morning finally breaks across your horizon, you will discover that I never left your side for a single moment of the night. My beloved child, there is a question hidden inside many hearts, even when it is never spoken aloud. The question is this: will I have enough? Will I have enough strength to face what lies ahead? Will I have enough wisdom to make the right decisions? Will I have enough peace to endure this season? Will I have enough resources for what I need? Will I have enough hope to keep believing? These questions often arise when life feels uncertain. They appear when circumstances seem limited. They grow louder when challenges persist longer than expected. And if you are not careful, those questions can slowly convince you that you are standing beside an empty well. But my beloved child, I want you to know something today. You are connected to a river that never runs dry. The world often teaches people to place their confidence in temporary things. They trust what they can count, measure, and control. They find security in circumstances that appear stable. Yet everything built solely upon human strength eventually reveals its limitations. Money can fluctuate. Plans can change. People can disappoint. Opportunities can come and go. But my provision does not depend upon the stability of earthly circumstances. I am the source behind every blessing. I am the giver of strength when your own strength feels depleted. I am the giver of peace when confusion surrounds you. I am the giver of wisdom when answers seem hidden. I am the giver of hope when discouragement tries to settle into your heart. And my supply is not limited by what you currently see. Imagine a traveler crossing a dry landscape. The ground is cracked. The air is hot. Everything around him suggests scarcity. Looking at the surface alone, he assumes there is no water nearby. Yet deep beneath the earth, a powerful underground river continues flowing. The traveler may not see it. Others may not know it exists, but its presence remains unchained. My beloved child, there have been moments when your circumstances looked dry. Your energy felt depleted. Your hope felt stretched thin. Your confidence seemed fragile. And because of what you saw on the surface, you began worrying that you were running out of strength, running out of patience, running out of opportunities, running out of time. Yet beneath the surface, my river has continued flowing. Even when you felt weak, I sustained you. Even when you felt overwhelmed, I carried you. Even when you thought you had reached your limit, I provided enough grace for one more day. Then another. Then another. Look back at your life for a moment. There were seasons you thought you would never survive. There were burdens that seemed impossible to carry. There were challenges that appeared larger than your strength. Yet somehow you are still here. You are still standing. You are still moving forward. You are still growing. Why? Because my provision never stopped flowing. Not once. There were days when you did not understand how you would make it through, yet you did. There were moments when you thought your strength was gone, yet strength appeared. There were situations when answers seemed impossible, yet solutions arrived. The river kept flowing. My beloved child, one of the enemy's greatest strategies is to convince you to focus entirely on visible scarcity. He wants you to stare at what is missing. He wants you to count every limitation. He wants you to magnify every obstacle until fear overshadows faith. But I invite you to look deeper. Instead of focusing on what appears absent, focus on the one who remains present. Instead of measuring your future by current limitations, measure it by my faithfulness. Instead of asking, "Do I have enough?" begin asking, "Can I trust the one who provides?" Because trust changes everything. When you trust me, peace begins replacing panic. When you trust me, hope begins replacing fear. When you trust me, your eyes begin noticing provision that anxiety previously overlooked. My provision does not always arrive in the form you expect. Sometimes I provide strength instead of immediate escape. Sometimes I provide wisdom instead of instant answers. Sometimes I provide endurance while the breakthrough is still approaching. But I always provide what is needed for the season you are walking through. Always. The river never stops because circumstances become difficult. The river never stops because challenges appear. The river never stops because the journey becomes longer than expected. It continues flowing because its source remains secure. And my beloved child, I am that source. The world around you may experience uncertainty. People around you may struggle with fear. Situations around you may change. But my nature does not change. My love does not change. My faithfulness does not change. My ability to provide does not change. So when you feel weary, come to the river. When you feel anxious, come to the river. When you feel uncertain, come to the river. When you feel empty, come to the river. Drink deeply from my presence. Rest in my promises. Trust in my care. For the river that sustains you is not fed by human strength, human wisdom, or human resources. It flows from my heart. And my beloved child, that river will never run dry. My beloved child, there are losses that leave visible marks, and there are losses that leave hidden ones. Some losses are easy for others to recognize. People see the change. They see the empty space. They understand why your heart hurts. But other losses are carried quietly. They exist in memories, in unrealized dreams, in relationships that changed, in opportunities that disappeared, and in hopes that never unfolded the way you expected. I know every loss you have experienced. I know the things you miss. I know the people you still think about. I know the dreams that once filled your heart with excitement. I know the plans that seemed certain until circumstances changed. I know the prayers that appeared unanswered. And I know how easy it can be to believe that because something valuable was lost, your story can never be complete again. But my beloved child, I want you to hear me carefully today. What you lost is not the end of your story. Loss can be painful. Loss can leave questions. Loss can create seasons of grief that feel longer than expected. Yet loss does not have the authority to define your future. Only I do. Many people begin measuring the rest of their lives by what they no longer have. They build their expectations around what was taken away. They look at the empty places and assume those places can never hold joy again. But I am the God who specializes in bringing new life where people expect only endings. Imagine a forest after a powerful storm. Trees have fallen. Branches cover the ground. The landscape appears damaged. To an observer, it may seem as though destruction has won. Yet beneath the surface, something remarkable begins happening. Seeds hidden in the soil receive sunlight for the first time. New growth begins emerging. Fresh life starts developing where brokenness once dominated the view. The storm caused loss, but it did not stop the future from growing. My beloved child, there are areas of your life where grief has convinced you that growth is impossible. Perhaps you lost a relationship you deeply valued. Perhaps you lost an opportunity you worked hard to obtain. Perhaps you lost confidence after experiencing disappointment. Perhaps you lost time, energy, or years that can never be returned. And because of those losses, you may have quietly concluded that certain forms of joy are no longer available to you. But your future is not limited by your losses. I can restore what pain tried to steal. I can heal what was wounded. I can rebuild what was broken. I can create beauty where despair once lived. Now listen carefully, my child. Restoration does not always mean receiving back the exact thing that was lost. Sometimes it does, but often, restoration means receiving something different that carries greater wisdom, deeper purpose, and unexpected blessing. Many people spend years staring at a closed chapter because they are waiting for the past to return exactly as it was. Meanwhile, they miss the new chapter I am trying to place before them. Do not misunderstand me. Your grief matters. Your tears matter. Your pain matters. I am not asking you to pretend the loss never happened. I am not asking you to ignore your emotions. I am not asking you to rush through healing. I am simply reminding you that loss is not the final author of your story. I am. There is a difference. The loss may explain part of your journey, but it does not determine the ending. The disappointment may have shaped you, but it does not define you. The heartbreak may have wounded you, but it does not own your future. You belong to me. And because you belong to me, your story remains filled with possibility. Think about all the chapters we have already discussed together. A hidden seed, a difficult season, a closed door, a long night, the river that never runs dry. In each of those moments, circumstances appeared final, yet they were not. Something greater was still unfolding. The same is true now. There are blessings ahead that you cannot yet see. There are relationships ahead that will bring encouragement. There are opportunities ahead that will renew hope. There are moments ahead that will remind you that joy is still possible. One day, you will look back and realize that while the loss was real, it was not the end. You will see how I carried you through it. You will see how I healed parts of your heart that felt permanently broken. You will see how I used painful experiences to develop wisdom, compassion, and strength. And you will see how I continued writing beautiful chapters long after you feared the story was over. My beloved child, release the belief that your greatest days exist only in the past. Release the fear that nothing good can grow again. Release the lie that loss has the final word. Because it does not. I do. And I declare over your life today that your story is still unfolding. There is still purpose ahead. There is still hope ahead. There is still healing ahead. There is still joy ahead. What you lost was painful, but it is not the end of your story. The author is still writing, and the pages ahead hold more beauty than you can currently imagine. My beloved child, there are wounds that people can easily recognize, and there are wounds hidden so deeply that even you sometimes forget they are there. The visible wounds receive attention. They are acknowledged. They are spoken about. But the hidden wounds often remain untouched for years. They settle quietly into the heart. They influence thoughts, emotions, decisions, and relationships without announcing their presence. I know those hidden places within you. I know the disappointments you rarely discuss. I know the memories that still carry pain. I know the moments that changed how you see yourself. I know the experiences that made you build walls around parts of your heart. And I know the scars left behind by words, failures, betrayals, and losses. My beloved child, I want you to understand something important today. Healing is already happening, even in places you cannot see. Many people expect healing to happen all at once. They expect a single moment to erase every wound, answer every question, and remove every trace of pain. Sometimes healing can be sudden, but often it is a journey. A gentle journey. A patient journey. A journey that unfolds one layer at a time. Imagine a skilled gardener caring for a tree that has been damaged by a storm. Some branches are broken. Parts of the bark are scarred. The damage is obvious in some places and hidden in others. The gardener does not abandon the tree because it has been wounded. Instead, he tends to it carefully. He removes what is harmful. He protects what is vulnerable. He nurtures what remains alive. Over time, growth returns. Strength returns. Life returns. The tree still remembers the storm, but the storm no longer controls its future. My beloved child, I am that gardener. There are places in your heart where healing has already begun, even if you do not fully recognize it yet. Perhaps there was a time when a certain memory overwhelmed you completely. Now it still hurts, but not with the same intensity. Perhaps there was a season when fear ruled your thoughts every day. Now fear still appears, but it no longer holds the same authority. Perhaps there was a wound that once convinced you that you would never trust again. Yet little by little, your heart is learning openness once more. These are signs of healing. Small signs, perhaps. Quiet signs, perhaps. But real signs nonetheless. Healing rarely announces itself with great fanfare. Often it grows quietly beneath the surface, much like the seed we spoke about earlier. The roots develop before the growth becomes visible. The restoration begins before the evidence appears. The transformation starts before anyone notices the change. My child, one reason healing sometimes takes time is because I care about more than symptoms. I care about the source. Many people want relief from pain, but I desire restoration of the heart. I want to heal the fear beneath the anxiety. I want to heal the disappointment beneath the discouragement. I want to heal the insecurity beneath the self-doubt. I want to heal the wounds that have quietly shaped how you view yourself and your future. That kind of healing requires tenderness. It requires patience. It requires trust. And I am willing to walk through that process with you. There may be moments when old memories resurface. Do not assume healing has failed when that happens. Sometimes healing involves bringing hidden things into the light so they can finally be released. A wound cannot be properly treated if it remains completely ignored. In the same way, there are moments when I gently reveal areas of pain not to hurt you, but to heal you. I never expose wounds to shame you. I reveal them because I love you. I reveal them because freedom is waiting on the other side of healing. My beloved child, I know there are places within your heart that feel fragile. Places where trust was broken. Places where dreams were disappointed. Places where hope grew weak. Yet those places are not beyond my reach. There is no wound too deep for my compassion. No scar too old for my touch. No brokenness too great for my restoring power. Even now, while you listen, I am working. I am replacing lies with truth. I am replacing fear with peace. I am replacing shame with dignity. I am replacing despair with hope. You may not see every change immediately, but do not mistake slow healing for absent healing. A sunrise arrives gradually. A tree grows gradually. A river shapes stone gradually. And many of the most beautiful works I do in human hearts happen gradually as well. So be patient with yourself, my beloved child. Do not condemn yourself for still feeling pain. Do not judge yourself for still having questions. Do not assume you are failing because healing is taking time. Trust the process. Trust my care. Trust my wisdom. Because while you focus on what still hurts, I am already restoring what was damaged. While you worry about what remains broken, I am strengthening what remains alive. And while you wonder whether complete healing is possible, I am quietly working in places you cannot see. One day you will look back and realize that the wounds which once defined your pain became testimonies of my faithfulness. Until then, rest in this truth. I am healing places you cannot see, and I will not stop until my work in you is complete. My beloved child, there is a story I want you to carry in your heart whenever life feels uncertain. Imagine a shepherd leading his flock across a wide valley. The day begins peacefully. The sky is clear. The path seems manageable. The sheep follow with confidence because everything appears calm and predictable. Then, without warning, dark clouds gather on the horizon. The wind begins to rise. Thunder echoes in the distance. Soon the storm arrives with full force. Rain pours down. Visibility becomes limited. The familiar path becomes difficult to recognize. The sheep grow anxious because they can no longer see clearly. The landscape that once felt safe now feels threatening. Some of the sheep begin looking at the storm instead of the shepherd. And the more they focus on the storm, the more frightened they become. My beloved child, there have been seasons in your life that felt exactly like that. You started with confidence. You had plans. You had expectations. You thought you knew where the road was leading. Then suddenly circumstances change. And challenge appear. A disappointment arrived. An unexpected struggle entered your life. And before long, you found yourself standing in a storm you never anticipated. I know how frightening those moments can feel. Storms have a way of making everything appear uncertain. They distort perspective. They magnify fear. They make temporary problems seem permanent. They tempt you to believe that because conditions have changed, your future has changed as well. But listen carefully, my beloved child. The presence of a storm does not mean the shepherd has disappeared. The shepherd is still leading. The shepherd is still watching. The shepherd is still protecting. The shepherd is still guiding, even when the sheep cannot clearly see the path. One of the greatest mistakes people make during difficult seasons is believing that storms are evidence of abandonment. When life becomes hard, they assume I have stepped away. When challenges arise, they question whether I am still near. When answers are delayed, they wonder whether I still care. Yet storms often reveal my presence in ways calm seasons never could. When everything is easy, people tend to trust their own understanding. When everything is comfortable, they often rely on their own strength. But storms remind them how deeply they need me. And in that dependence, something beautiful begins to grow. Trust. My child, trust is not built during moments when every answer is obvious. Trust is built when questions remain. Trust is built when circumstances are uncertain. Trust is built when you continue walking even though the sky above you is dark. Imagine one sheep in that storm remaining close to the shepherd. The rain still falls. The wind still blows. The thunder still sounds. Yet something is different. Because the sheep remains near the shepherd, it does not need to understand every detail of the journey. It simply follows the one who knows the way. That is what I am inviting you to do. Stay close to me. Not because the storm immediately disappears, not because every challenge instantly ends, but because my presence provides what fear cannot. Peace, direction, strength, security. There are storms you have already survived that once seemed impossible. At the time, you could not imagine how you would make it through. Yet here you are. You survived. You grew. You learned. And when you look back carefully, you may begin to notice something important. I was with you every step of the way. The storm did not defeat you. The storm did not destroy your purpose. The storm did not cancel your future. Instead, it revealed strengths you did not know you possessed. It taught lessons that comfort could never teach. It deepened your dependence upon me. My beloved child, storms are temporary. No storm lasts forever. The strongest winds eventually settle. The darkest clouds eventually part. The longest nights eventually give way to dawn. And while the storm may feel overwhelming in the present moment, it is not the final chapter of your story. Do not let the storm become your focus. Keep your eyes on the shepherd. Keep your heart anchored in my promises. Keep moving forward one step at a time. You do not need to know exactly how everything will unfold. You do not need to see the entire path. You do not need perfect certainty about tomorrow. You simply need to remain close to the one who already sees tomorrow clearly. My child, I know the way through every storm. I know where the safe paths are hidden. I know where the dangers exist. I know when to lead you forward and when to ask you to rest. Nothing catches me by surprise. Nothing overwhelms my wisdom. Nothing exceeds my ability to guide you. So when the winds rise and fear begins whispering that you are alone, remember this story. Remember the shepherd. Remember the flock. Remember that the storm may surround you, but it does not control you. Because you are not being led by the storm. You are being led by me. And as long as you stay close to the shepherd, my beloved child, you will discover that even the fiercest storms cannot prevent you from reaching the destination I have prepared for you. My beloved child, everyday voices compete for your attention. Some voices bring peace. Some voices bring wisdom. Some voices encourage growth and hope. But there are other voices that quietly work against you. They do not always come from other people. Often, they speak from within your own thoughts. They repeat old fears, old wounds, and old lies until those lies begin to sound like truth. I want to talk to you about those voices today, because many of the battles you face are not happening around you. They are happening within you. There is a voice that says you are not enough, a voice that reminds you of your failures while ignoring your growth. A voice that points to your weaknesses while overlooking your strengths. A voice that magnifies every mistake and minimizes every victory. You had heard that voice before. Perhaps it appeared after a disappointment. Perhaps it grew louder after someone criticized you. Perhaps it developed during a difficult season when circumstances did not unfold the way you hoped. Little by little, you began listening. Not because the voice was true, but because it was familiar. My beloved child, familiarity does not make something true. A lie repeated 1,000 times remains a lie. Imagine a traveler carrying a map that contains incorrect directions. The traveler may follow those directions for years. The map may feel familiar. It may seem trustworthy simply because it has been used for so long. Yet no matter how long the traveler follows it, The wrong map will never lead to the right destination. Many people live this way emotionally and spiritually. They navigate life using beliefs that were never true. They believe they are unworthy. They believe they are unloved. They believe they are permanently damaged. They believe they have missed their opportunity. They believe their future will always be limited by their past. And because they believe these things, they make decisions based upon lies rather than truth. My beloved child, some of the thoughts you have accepted about yourself did not come from me. I have never called you worthless. I have never called you forgotten. I have never called you hopeless. I have never called you beyond restoration. Those voices do not reflect my heart. They reflect fear. They reflect pain. They reflect wounds that have not yet fully healed. The enemy understands something important. He knows that if he can influence what you believe about yourself, he can influence how you live. If he convinces you that you are weak, you may never discover the strength I placed within you. If he convinces you that change is impossible, you may stop pursuing growth. If he convinces you that you are alone, you may overlook my presence. If he convinces you that your future is hopeless, you may stop expecting blessings. That is why the battle for your thoughts matters so much. My child, not every thought deserves your trust. Not every fear deserves your agreement. Not every voice deserves your attention. There are times when you must pause and ask a simple question. Does this voice sound like my Father? Does it sound like the one who loves you? Does it sound like the one who created you? Does it sound like the one who sees your potential even when you struggle to see it yourself? Because my voice carries certain qualities. My voice brings truth. My voice brings hope. My voice brings conviction when necessary, but never condemnation. My voice reminds you that growth is possible. My voice reminds you that failure is not final. My voice reminds you that you are deeply loved. Think about the journey we have already walked together. The hidden seed, the closed doors, the difficult seasons, the long nights, the healing process, the storms. In every chapter, there was a voice of fear trying to tell you the story was over. Yet every time, the voice was wrong. The seed was growing. The dawn was coming. The healing was happening. The shepherd was still leading. My beloved child, some voices deserve to be dismissed. The voice that says you are defined by your worst mistake. Dismiss it. The voice that says nothing will ever change. Dismiss it. The voice that says your life no longer has purpose. Dismiss it. The voice that says you are unloved, unseen, or forgotten. Dismiss it. Those voices are not telling you the truth. The truth is that you are still growing. The truth is that you are still healing. The truth is that your story is still unfolding. The truth is that I am still working. Most importantly, the truth is that you are my beloved child. You are not what fear says you are. You are not what failure says you are. You are not what disappointment says you are. You are not what your worst day says you are. You are who I say you are. And I say you are loved. I say you are seen. I say you are valuable. I say you are chosen. I say you have purpose. I say your future still contains hope. So listen carefully, my beloved child. The voices that have discouraged you do not have the final word. The voices that have limited you do not have the final word. The voices that have tried to convince you to give up do not have the final word. I do. And my voice is calling you forward, reminding you once again that your life is far more beautiful, valuable, and full of possibility than those false voices ever wanted you to believe. My beloved child, there are moments when people look at their lives and quietly wonder whether they truly matter. They compare themselves to others. They focus on what they have not accomplished. They examine their mistakes, their delays, their weaknesses, and their struggle. Then they ask questions like, what is my purpose? Or do I really make a difference? Or was I created for something meaningful? If you have ever asked those questions, I want you to listen closely today. You were not created by accident. You were not placed on this earth without intention. You were not formed without purpose. Before anyone knew your name, I knew it. Before anyone understood your potential, I saw it. Before you took your first breath, I already understood the unique role your life would play in this world. My beloved child, purpose is not something you earn. Purpose is something woven into your existence from the very beginning. Imagine a master craftsman creating a beautiful instrument. Every piece is carefully shaped. Every detail is intentional. Nothing is added without reason. The instrument may not immediately understand its design. It may not know how it will be used. It may even compare itself to other instruments and wonder why it was made differently. Yet the craftsman knows exactly what he created it for. In the same way, I know exactly why I created you. One of the reasons people struggle to recognize their purpose is because they spend too much time comparing their journey to someone else's. They look at another person's gifts and wonder why they do not possess the same abilities. They look at another person's success and wonder why their own path looks different. They look at another person's story and question the value of their own. But comparison clouds vision. When you focus entirely on someone else's assignment, you often overlook your own. My child, I never intended for you to become someone else. I created you to become the fullest version of who you were designed to be. Your experiences are unique. Your perspective is unique. Your gifts are unique. Your story is unique. Even your struggles have shaped qualities within you that can help others in ways you may not yet realize. There are people you can encourage because of what you have endured. There are lives you can touch because of what you have learned. There are hearts you can understand because of the pain you have survived. Nothing in your journey has been meaningless. Even the difficult chapters have contributed to your growth. Think about a tapestry being woven by an artist. From the backside, the threads appear tangled and confusing. Colors cross one another. Patterns seem incomplete. It is difficult to understand what the artist is creating. Yet from the front side, a beautiful picture emerges. My beloved child, you often see only the back side of the tapestry. You see the loose threads. You see the unfinished sections. You see the confusing details. But I see the completed masterpiece. I see how every experience fits together. I see how every lesson contributes to your purpose. I see how every challenge develops qualities that will serve you later. There may be seasons when your purpose feels hidden. You may wonder whether you are making progress. You may question whether your efforts matter. You may feel ordinary, but never mistake hidden purpose for absent purpose. The seed beneath the soil still has purpose. The river flowing underground still has purpose. The shepherd guiding through the storm still has purpose. And you still have purpose. Sometimes purpose is expressed through grand opportunities. Other times it is expressed through simple acts of kindness, a word of encouragement, a listening ear, a moment of compassion, a decision to keep going when others would have given up. Never underestimate the significance of small acts done with love. Many lives are changed not by dramatic moments, but by consistent faithfulness. My beloved child, your worth is not determined by applause. Your purpose is not measured by popularity. Your value is not established by achievements alone. Your identity comes from me. And because your identity comes from me, Your life carries meaning even when others fail to recognize it. The world may overlook certain contributions. People may fail to appreciate certain sacrifices. But I see them all. I see every act of faith. I see every moment of perseverance. I see every choice to love when it would have been easier to become bitter. Nothing is wasted. Nothing is unseen. Nothing is meaningless. So stop questioning whether your life matters. Stop believing the lie that you were created without purpose. Stop measuring your value against the standards of others. Instead, trust the one who created you. Trust the one who sees the full picture. Trust the one who designed every part of your journey. Because, my beloved child, you are not here by accident. You are not wandering without direction. You are not a mistake trying to find meaning. You are a carefully crafted part of a much larger story. And every day that you continue walking with me, you move closer to understanding the beautiful purpose that has been within you all along. My beloved child, many people spend their lives waiting for a great moment, a dramatic sign, or a perfect opportunity before they choose to move forward. They imagine that transformation always begins with something large and obvious. They believe that destiny arrives through massive changes that can be seen by everyone. But I want to show you a different truth today. Some of the greatest miracles begin with one small yes, one small act of faith, one small decision to trust, one small step of obedience, one small choice to keep going when giving up seems easier. The world often celebrates the visible results, but I see the quiet beginnings. I see the moment when a heart decides to trust me despite uncertainty. I see the moment when someone chooses courage over fear. I see the moment when someone takes a single step forward without knowing exactly how the journey will unfold. Those moments matter more than you realize. Imagine a traveler standing at the foot of a mountain. Looking at the summit, the journey appears impossible. The distance seems overwhelming. The climb looks too difficult. If the traveler focuses only on the size of the mountain, he may never begin. But what happens when he takes one step? The mountain does not disappear. The challenges do not instantly vanish. Yet something important changes. The journey begins, and every step after that becomes possible because of the first one. My beloved child, many of the blessings you seek are connected to a step you have been afraid to take. Not because I require perfection, not because I demand complete understanding, but because movement creates opportunities for growth that standing still never can. Think about the seed we discussed earlier. The seed could not become a tree while remaining exactly as it was. It had to surrender to the process. It had to say yes to growth. He had to trust the gardener. The same principle applies to your life. Growth often begins with a simple yes. A yes to hope after disappointment. A yes to trust after fear. A yes to healing after pain. A yes to faith after doubt. A yes may seem small in the moment, but its impact can be enormous. There are people whose entire lives changed because they said yes to one conversation, one opportunity, one act of kindness, one decision to persevere, one choice to believe that a better future was possible. What made those moments powerful was not their size. It was their willingness. My child, I am not asking you to solve your entire future today. I am not asking you to carry tomorrow's responsibilities. I am not asking you to understand every detail of my plan. I'm simply asking for your next yes, your next step, your next act of trust. The enemy often tries to convince people that small actions are insignificant. He whispers, "What difference will that make?" He encourages hesitation by making progress appear too small to matter. But he understands something many people forget. Small seeds become large trees. Small streams become mighty rivers. Small beginnings often create extraordinary outcomes. Never underestimate what I can do with a willing heart. Imagine a candle in a dark room. The flame may seem tiny compared to the darkness surrounding it. Yet the darkness cannot extinguish the light simply because it appears small. The light changes the room. In the same way, your small acts of faith have power. Every time you choose trust instead of fear, something changes. Every time you choose hope instead of despair, something changes. Every time you choose perseverance instead of surrender, something changes. You may not see the full impact immediately, but movement is occurring. Growth is occurring. Transformation is occurring. My beloved child, some of you have been waiting for certainty before saying yes. But certainty is not the foundation of faith. Trust is. Faith often means taking a step while some questions remain unanswered. It means believing that I am good even when circumstances are confusing. It means moving forward because you trust my character more than you trust your fears. Look back over your life. Many important chapters began with simple decisions. You may not have recognized their significance at the time, but those moments shaped your journey. The same is true today. There are opportunities before you. There are lessons before you. There are blessings before you. And many of them are waiting on the other side of a small yes. Do not wait until you feel perfectly ready. Do not wait until every fear disappears. Do not wait until every question is answered. Remember what we learned in part 10. Step forward even if you tremble. Because courage grows while you walk. Faith grows while you trust. And miracles often begin with ordinary acts of obedience. So today, my beloved child, offer me your yes. Your imperfect yes. Your uncertain yes. Your trembling yes. Place it in my hands. For I can do more with one willing yes than you can imagine. And when you look back one day, you may discover that the miracle you were praying for began with a single step you almost did not take. My beloved child, when people look back on their lives, they often search for the moment everything changed. They think it must have been a dramatic event, a grand announcement, a sudden breakthrough, a life-altering miracle that arrived with unmistakable certainty. But many times, when they examine their story more carefully, they discover something surprising. The moment everything began to change did not look extraordinary at all. It looked ordinary. It looked small. It looked insignificant. Yet hidden within that simple moment was the beginning of an entirely new direction. My beloved child, there is a reason I want you to understand this. Because some of you are waiting for change while overlooking the very moments through which change often begins. Imagine a river carving its way through a mountain. Over time, the river creates valleys, pathways, and landscapes of breathtaking beauty. Yet if you observe the process for a single day, you might not notice any change at all. The transformation happens gradually, quietly, consistently, one drop at a time, and eventually, what once seemed impossible becomes undeniable. The same is often true in your life. There are moments that seem ordinary while they are happening. A conversation, a lesson, a decision, a new perspective, a simple act of obedience. Yet those moments become turning points, not because they appear dramatic in the beginning, but because they place you on a different path. Think about the journey we have shared so far. The hidden seed, the difficult season, the closed doors, the long night, the healing process, the small yes. Each of those experiences may have seemed insignificant when viewed individually. Yet together, they have been shaping something much larger. They have been preparing you, preparing your heart, preparing your mind, preparing your future. Many people expect transformation to happen outside of them before it happens within them. They wait for circumstances to change first. They wait for opportunities to arrive first. They wait for perfect conditions before they believe a new chapter has begun. But often the true turning point begins internally. A heart decides to trust again. A mind releases an old fear. A soul chooses hope over despair. A person stops listening to the voices that once limited them. And from that moment forward, everything begins moving in a new direction. My beloved child, some changes happen long before they become visible. A tree begins growing before anyone sees branches. A sunrise begins before the first light appears. Healing begins before the pain completely fades. Breakthrough often begins before circumstances visibly improve. That is why you must not judge progress solely by appearances. There may be more movement happening in your life right now than you realize. You may think you are simply listening, simply learning, simply enduring. But I see deeper. I see courage developing. I see wisdom increasing. I see faith growing stronger. I see old chains losing their influence. I see new confidence beginning to emerge. Those things matter, because external change often follows internal transformation. Imagine a ship crossing a vast ocean. If the captain adjusts the course by only a few degrees, the immediate difference may appear insignificant. Yet over time, that small adjustment leads to an entirely different destination. My beloved child, there are moments when a small shift in perspective changes the direction of an entire life. A person begins believing they are loved. A person begins trusting me again. A person chooses forgiveness. A person refuses to give up. A person says yes to the next step. Those decisions may seem small, but they alter the course of the journey. Perhaps you have been asking me when your breakthrough will come. Perhaps you have been wondering when things will finally begin to change. Perhaps you have been looking for a dramatic sign. But what if change has already begun? What if the process is already underway? What if the lessons you are learning today are preparing the answers you will celebrate tomorrow? My beloved child, never underestimate what I can do through ordinary moments. I often work quietly. I often work patiently. I often work beneath the surface. But my work is no less powerful because it is unseen. In fact, many of my greatest works begin in hidden places. The seed grows underground. The roots develop unseen. The river flows beneath the surface. And transformation often begins within the heart. One day you will look back and recognize a specific moment. Perhaps it will be a prayer you pray. Perhaps it will be a truth you finally accepted. Perhaps it will be a decision you almost avoided. And you will realize that was the moment everything began to change. Not because circumstances transformed overnight, but because you began aligning your heart with my guidance. My beloved child, pay attention to the moments before you. Pay attention to the lessons I am teaching. Pay attention to the quiet invitations to trust me. Because today's small act of faith may become tomorrow's testimony. Today's simple decision may become tomorrow's breakthrough. And today's ordinary moment may become the moment you later recognize as the beginning of something beautiful. The moment everything began to change may not be ahead of you. It may already be happening right now. My beloved child, one of the deepest wounds a person can carry is the wound of broken trust. Trust is precious. It allows you to move forward with confidence. It helps you open your heart. It gives you the courage to hope. But when trust hath been damaged by disappointment, loss, betrayal, or repeated hardship, Something changes inside. The heart becomes cautious. The mind becomes guarded. Hope becomes harder to sustain. And slowly, without even realizing it, a person begins expecting disappointment before expecting blessing. My beloved child, I know there have been moments when trust felt difficult for you. Perhaps you trusted people who let you down. Perhaps you trusted plans that did not unfold the way you expected. Perhaps you trusted outcomes that never arrived. Perhaps you prayed with confidence and then found yourself waiting longer than you thought possible. Those experiences leave marks. They create questions. They make the heart wonder whether trusting again is worth the risk. I understand that struggle. I understand why some parts of you have become cautious. I understand why fear occasionally whispers that it is safer not to hope too much. Because if you do not hope, you cannot be disappointed. If you do not trust, you cannot be hurt. At least that is what fear wants you to believe. But fear never tells the whole story. What fear does not mention is that a life without trust becomes a life trapped behind walls. A heart that never risks disappointment also struggles to experience deep joy. A heart that never opens itself also struggles to receive love. A heart that never trusts remains confined by yesterday's pain. My beloved child, I did not create you to live imprisoned by old disappointments. I created you to live in freedom. That is why I have been gently teaching you to trust again. Not recklessly, not blindly, but gradually, patiently, one step at a time. Imagine a child learning to walk after recovering from an injury. The child remembers the pain of falling. The memory creates hesitation. Even though healing has begun, fear still remains. A loving parent does not rush the child. The parent stays nearby, offers support, provides encouragement, and patiently helps the child take one step after another. That is how I am working with you. I know where you have been hurt. I know why certain fears develop. I know why trust does not come easily in some areas of your life. Yet I also know something you may not fully see yet. You are stronger than you were before. You are wiser than you were before. You are more resilient than you were before. The lessons of your past have not only wounded you, they have also prepared you. Now I am teaching you to move forward again. Trust is not pretending the past never happened. Trust is choosing not to let the past control the future. Trust is believing that because one chapter was painful, the entire story is not doomed to repeat itself. Trust is believing that my goodness remains constant even when circumstances fluctuate. My beloved child, there are places where I am inviting you to trust again. Trust that healing is possible. Trust that joy can return. Trust that meaningful relationships can still exist. Trust that purpose still remains. Trust that blessings are not reserved for everyone except you. Trust that your future is not limited by your previous disappointments. This process may feel uncomfortable at times. That is normal. Growth often feels unfamiliar before it becomes natural. The first steps of trust may feel small. A simple prayer, a simple act of faith, a simple willingness to hope again. But remember what we learned about the miracle of one small yes. Small steps matter. They create momentum. They open doors. They lead to transformation. Think back to the shepherd in the storm. The sheep did not need to understand every detail of the path. They simply needed to remain close to the shepherd. The same is true for you. You do not need every answer before you trust me. You do not need perfect certainty before you believe. You do not need complete understanding before you move forward. You simply need to stay close to me. Because my faithfulness is not based on circumstances. My faithfulness is not based on human behavior. My faithfulness is not based on changing emotions. My faithfulness is rooted in who I am, and who I am never changes. My beloved child, there will come a day when you look back and realize that this season was not only about healing wounds. It was about rebuilding trust. Not merely trust in outcomes, not merely trust in people, but trust in me. The kind of trust that remains steady when questions arise. The kind of trust that survives difficult seasons. The kind of trust that allows peace to flourish even when answers are still developing. So do not be discouraged if trust feels like a journey. Do not condemn yourself for moving slowly. Do not believe the lie that your past has permanently damaged your ability to hope. I am patient. I am gentle. And I am walking beside you every step of the way. Little by little, my beloved child, I am teaching you to trust again. And one day, you will discover that the heart which once feared disappointment has become a heart filled with confidence, peace, and unwavering faith in my love. My beloved child, few things test the human heart quite like waiting. Waiting can feel uncomfortable. Waiting can feel confusing. Waiting can feel unfair. There are moments when you pray, believe, and hope, yet the answer seems slower than expected. You look toward the horizon, searching for signs of movement, and wonder why the breakthrough has not arrived yet. During those moments, it is easy to view delay as an enemy. It is easy to assume that waiting means nothing is happening. It is easy to believe that if the answer has not appeared, then perhaps it never will. But my beloved child, I want to reveal something that many people overlook. There are gifts hidden inside delays. Not every delay is beneficial, and not every waiting season feels pleasant. Yet many of the seasons you wished would end immediately contain lessons, wisdom, and preparation that could not have developed any other way. Imagine a master potter shaping clay on a wheel. The clay cannot understand why the process takes time. It cannot see the finished vessel. It only experiences the pressure, the shaping, and the waiting. If the process were rushed, the vessel would be fragile. If the timing were ignored, the structure would be weak. The waiting is not punishment. The waiting is preparation. My beloved child, there have been seasons in your life when you asked me to move faster. You wanted immediate clarity. You wanted instant answers. You wanted every obstacle removed without delay. And while I heard every prayer, there were moments when my wisdom required patience. Not because I was withholding good things from you, but because I was preparing you for the good things ahead. Sometimes people become so focused on receiving the blessing that they overlook the importance of becoming ready for it. They want the harvest before the roots are strong. They want the destination before learning the lessons of the journey. They want the answer before developing the wisdom needed to steward it well. My child, preparation is one of my greatest acts of love. A blessing received too early can become a burden. An opportunity received before maturity can become overwhelming. A door opened before the proper season can lead to unnecessary difficulty. That is why I often work on both the blessing and the person who will receive it. While you were waiting for circumstances to change, I was changing you. While you were asking for answers, I was developing wisdom. While you were longing for movement, I was strengthening character. While you were hoping for breakthroughs, I was teaching trust. And trust, my beloved child, is one of the greatest treasures you can carry. Think back to some of the seasons we have already discussed together. The hidden seed beneath the soil. A long night before dawn. The healing that happens unseen. The small yes that begins a miracle. In every one of those stories, time played an important role. Growth required time. Healing required time. Preparation required time, and so does much of the work I am doing in your life. The enemy wants you to view every delay as evidence that something is wrong. I want you to understand that some delays are evidence that something important is happening. The seed does not break through the soil immediately because roots are forming. The tree does not produce fruit immediately because growth is occurring. The sunrise does not arrive instantly because dawn unfolds gradually. In the same way, your waiting season may contain more purpose than you realize. My beloved child, there are lessons you have learned through waiting that comfort could never have taught you. You have learned patience. You have learned perseverance. You have learned compassion for others who struggle. You have learned how to depend on me more deeply. You have learned that your strength is not unlimited, but my strength is. Those lessons are valuable. Those lessons are gifts. Those lessons will serve you in future seasons. One day, you may look back and realize that some of your greatest growth occurred during the very seasons you wished would end. You will see how the delay protected you from certain mistakes. You will see how the waiting strengthened your faith. You will see how my timing accomplished something your timing never could. That does not mean waiting will always feel easy. Even now, there may be areas where you wish answers would arrive more quickly. I understand that. I am not asking you to enjoy every delay. I am asking you to trust me within it. Trust that I see the full picture. Trust that I know what is best. Trust that my timing is not random. Trust that your waiting is not wasted. My beloved child, if you could see everything I see, you would understand why certain doors opened when they did and why others remained closed for a season. You would understand why some answers required more time. You would understand how carefully I have been arranging details beyond your awareness. Until that day comes, hold on to this truth. The delay is not the destination. The waiting is not forever. And the season you are in right now may contain gifts that will become visible only later. So do not lose heart. Do not allow impatience to steal your peace. Do not mistake delay for denial. For even now, while you are waiting, I am working. And hidden within this season are gifts that will one day make you grateful that I asked you to trust my timing. My beloved child, there is a lesson many people spend years learning, and it is this: sometimes receiving requires as much faith as giving. Most people understand the idea of working hard. They understand effort, responsibility, and perseverance. They know how to strive. They know how to carry burdens. They know how to keep moving forward even when circumstances are difficult. But many struggle with receiving. They struggle to receive love. They struggle to receive help. They struggle to receive peace. They struggle to receive blessings. And often, they struggle to receive from me, not because they do not want good things, but because they have become accustomed to carrying everything themselves. My beloved child, there are times when you have held on to worry so tightly that your hands became full. You held on to fear. You held on to disappointment. You held on to control. You held on to old expectations. You held on to the need to understand every detail before moving forward. And while your hands were occupied with those things, you found it difficult to receive what I was offering. Imagine a traveler crossing a long road carrying heavy bags in both hands. The journey becomes exhausting. The wait grows painful. Then someone approaches with fresh water, food, and supplies for the road ahead. But the traveler cannot accept the gift because both hands remain tightly occupied. The gift is available. The provision is present. Yet receiving requires releasing. My beloved child, there are blessings I want to place into your life, but some of them require you to loosen your grip on things that no longer serve you. You cannot fully receive peace while clinging to constant worry. You cannot fully receive hope while holding tightly to despair. You cannot fully receive healing while refusing to release old wounds into my care. You cannot fully receive tomorrow while remaining trapped in yesterday. This does not mean pretending your concerns do not exist. It means trusting me with them. There is a difference. Trust is not denial. Trust is surrender. Trust says, Father, I cannot carry this alone. Trust says, I release what I cannot control. Trust says, I place this burden into your hands. My beloved child, surrender often feels frightening because it involves letting go of the illusion of control. People sometimes believe that worrying gives them control. They believe that constantly analyzing problems will somehow guarantee solutions. They believe that holding tightly to every concern will protect them from disappointment. Yet worry rarely creates peace. Worry rarely creates wisdom. Worry rarely creates solutions. Most of the time, it only creates exhaustion. I did not create you to live exhausted. I created you to live connected to me. And when you are connected to me, you discover that what you release into my hands becomes safer than what you keep in your own. Think about a child carrying a heavy object. The child struggles beneath the weight. Every step becomes difficult. Then the father reaches down and offers to carry it. The child has a choice. Continue struggling, or trust the father's strength. The object does not become lighter because the child works harder. It becomes lighter because the father carries it. My beloved child, I am inviting you into that kind of trust. Not because you are weak, not because you have failed, but because some burdens were never meant to be carried by you alone. There are worries I want you to release. There are fears I want you to surrender. There are disappointments I want you to place into my care. There are unanswered questions I want you to trust me with. Because I see what you cannot see. I know what you do not know. And I am already working in places beyond your awareness. Sometimes people assume receiving is passive. But receiving from me requires courage. It requires the courage to believe that my goodness is real. It requires the courage to accept that you are loved. It requires the courage to believe that blessings are not reserved for everyone except you. It requires the courage to trust that I desire good things for my children. My beloved child, open your hands. Open your heart. Open your expectations. Do not approach the future assuming disappointment is inevitable. Do not approach life believing that struggle is all that remains. Do not approach my presence convinced that your prayers no longer matter. Instead, come with open hands. Come with trust. Come with hope. Come with the willingness to receive. Receive my peace. Receive my guidance. Receive my strength. Receive my love. Receive the grace that is available for this season. Receive the hope that is rising even now. For I am not a distant father watching from afar. I am a loving father standing beside you. And my hands are filled with things your weary heart has been longing for. So release what has become too heavy. Release what you were never meant to control. Release what fear has convinced you to carry alone. Then open your hands, my beloved child. Because what I am offering is greater than what you are holding on to. And the blessings I have prepared can only be received by a heart willing to trust me enough to let go. My beloved child, there are chains that are easy to see, and there are chains that remain hidden. The visible chains are obvious. People recognize them immediately. They understand the limitations they create. But the hidden chains often go unnoticed. They exist in patterns of thinking, old fears, unresolved pain, and beliefs that quietly influence the direction of a person's life. Many people lie for years carrying chains they no longer need to carry. Chains of fear, chains of guilt, chains of shame, chains of insecurity, chains of bitterness, chains of believing they will never change. And after carrying those chains long enough, they begin to believe the chains are part of who they are. My beloved child, I want you to hear me carefully today. The chains are not your identity. They never were. They are burdens you carried. They are obstacles you encountered. They are wounds you experienced. But they are not who you are. You are my beloved child. And the truth is stronger than every chain that has ever tried to hold you captive. Imagine a prisoner who has worn chains for so many years that he no longer remembers life without them. Every movement feels familiar. Every limitation feels normal. The weight has been present for so long that he assumes it will remain forever. Then one day, the locks begin to loosen. At first, the prisoner barely notices. The chains still seem present. The weight still feels familiar. Yet something has changed. The chains no longer possess the strength they once had. My child, this is what is happening in many areas of your life. You may not fully recognize it yet. You may still feel some of the old fears. You may still encounter old thoughts. You may still experience moments of weakness. But the chains are losing their strength. The fear that once controlled every decision no longer has the same authority. The shame that once silenced your voice no longer speaks as loudly. The insecurity that once defined your identity no longer owns your future. The wounds that once dictated your expectations are no longer writing the story. Because I have been working quietly, patiently, consistently. The healing we discussed earlier is part of this process. The trust we discussed is part of this process. The small yes is part of this process. Every lesson, every prayer, every step of faith, every act of surrender, all of it has been weakening the chains. The enemy often wants you to focus on what remains unfinished. He wants you to notice every struggle that still exists. He wants you to believe that because complete freedom has not yet arrived, nothing has changed. But that is not the truth. Progress is still progress. Healing is still healing. Freedom is still freedom, even when it unfolds gradually. Think about a sunrise. The darkness does not disappear all at once. The horizon begins to brighten. Light slowly expands. Shadows retreat little by little. And eventually, what once seemed impossible becomes undeniable. The same is true for many of the chains you have carried. Freedom often arrives gradually, one truth at a time, one decision at a time, one step at a time. My beloved child, some chains have already fallen away from your life, even if you rarely stop to notice. There were fears that once ruled your thoughts every day. Now they appear less frequently. There were wounds that once felt unbearable. Now they no longer control every moment. There were challenges that once seemed impossible. Now you look back and realize you survived them. Those are signs of freedom. Those are signs of growth. Those are signs that my work is accomplishing something beautiful. Do not underestimate what is happening. Do not become discouraged because the journey is not complete. A tree does not reach full height overnight. A river does not carve a canyon in a single day. A masterpiece is not completed with one brushstroke. And freedom often develops through a process as well. My child, there are still areas where I am inviting you to let go. There are lies I want you to stop believing. There are fears I want you to release. There are burdens I want you to surrender. not because I wish to take something valuable from you, but because I wish to give you something greater. Peace instead of anxiety, confidence instead of insecurity, hope instead of despair, freedom instead of bondage. The chains that once seemed unbreakable are not stronger than my power. The habits that seem permanent are not beyond my reach. The fears that feel overwhelming are not greater than my love. Nothing holding you back is stronger than the one who is leading you forward. So when old fears attempt to return, remember this truth. The chains are losing their strength. When old doubts try to convince you that nothing has changed, remember this truth. The chains are losing their strength. When old wounds try to define your future, remember this truth. The chains are losing your strength. Because I am still working. I am still healing. I am still restoring. And I am still leading you toward freedom. One day, my beloved child, you will look back and realize that what once controlled you no longer has any authority at all. You will discover that the chains you feared for so long became nothing more than broken reminders of a season you overcame. Until then, keep walking with me. Keep trusting. Keep believing. Because freedom is not merely ahead of you. It has already begun. My beloved child, one of the things that life can quietly steal is confidence. Not the kind of confidence that comes from pride or self-importance, but the healthy confidence that allows you to move forward, embrace opportunities, and believe that your life still has value and purpose. Confidence is often damaged gradually. A disappointment here, a failure there, a rejection that cuts deeper than expected, a season where prayers seem unanswered, a moment when someone speaks words that leave lasting wounds. Over time, these experiences can begin shaping the way you see yourself. You may still function. You may still fulfill responsibilities. You may still appear strong on the outside. Yet inside, a quiet uncertainty develops. You begin second-guessing yourself. You begin questioning your abilities. You begin wondering whether you are truly capable of what lies ahead. My beloved child, I know those feelings. I know the moments when you have doubted yourself. I know the times when you compared your journey to someone else's and felt inadequate. I know the occasions when you focused more on your weaknesses than on the gifts I placed within you. I know the battles that have taken place entirely within your thoughts. And today I want to remind you of something important. The difficulties you have faced do not determine your worth. The setbacks you have experienced do not define your identity. The mistakes you have made do not cancel your purpose. Imagine a beautiful mirror that has been covered with dust over many years. The mirror still possesses the ability to reflect clearly. Its design does not change you. Its value has not disappeared. Yet because of the dust, the reflection becomes distorted. The problem is not the mirror. The problem is what has accumulated upon it. My beloved child, many of the negative beliefs you carry about yourself are like that dust. Disappointment has settled there. Fear has settled there. Criticism has settled there. Old failures have settled there. And because of those things, you sometimes struggle to see yourself clearly. But I see you clearly. I see the person I created. I see the strength that remains beneath the doubt. I see the courage that still exists beneath the fear. I see the wisdom you have gained through difficult seasons. I see the compassion that has grown through your struggles. I see the resilience that has developed through every challenge you survived. You often focus on what you lack. I see what is present. You focus on where you stumbled. I see how far you have come. You focus on what remains unfinished. I see the progress already taking place. My beloved child, confidence rooted in circumstances is fragile. When things go well, it rises. When things become difficult, it falls. But confidence rooted in me is different. It remains steady because it is not based upon temporary success. It is based upon eternal truth. The truth that you are loved. The truth that you are chosen. The truth that you are valuable. The truth that your life has purpose. The truth that I am with you. That kind of confidence survives storms. That kind of confidence survives setbacks. That kind of confidence survives waiting seasons. Because it does not depend on perfect conditions. Think about the shepherd we spoke about earlier. The sheep did not gain confidence because the weather was always favorable. The sheep gained confidence because the shepherd was trustworthy. In the same way, your confidence grows not because every circumstance becomes easy, but because you learn to trust the one who walks beside you. My beloved child, I am restoring your confidence one truth at a time. Every time you reject a lie, confidence grows. Every time you choose faith over fear, confidence grows. Every time you remember who you are, confidence grows. Every time you take a step despite uncertainty, confidence grows. This restoration may not happen overnight, but it is happening. Even now, the voice that once constantly condemned you is losing influence. The fear that once controlled your decisions is weakening. The insecurity that once silenced your potential is fading. And in its place, something stronger is emerging. A quiet confidence. A steady confidence. A confidence rooted not in your perfection, but in my faithfulness. One day you will look back and realize that the very seasons that tried to diminish your confidence became the seasons through which I rebuilt it. You will see how every challenge taught you resilience. You will see how every disappointment taught you perseverance. You will see how every storm revealed strength you did not know you possessed. And you will understand that confidence was never meant to come from having all the answers. It was meant to come from knowing who walks with you. So lift your head, my beloved child. Stop speaking to yourself as though you are defeated. Stop viewing yourself through the lens of past failures. Stop measuring your future by old disappointments. You are growing. You are healing. You are becoming stronger. And I am restoring something precious within you. The confidence to trust. The confidence to hope. The confidence to move forward. The confidence to believe that your best chapters are not behind you. Because they are not. I am restoring your confidence, and with every step we take together, you are becoming more of the person I always created you to be. My beloved child, there are promises that seem easy to believe when the skies are clear. They feel strong when life is moving smoothly. They feel certain when prayers are being answered quickly. They feel secure when circumstances are favorable. But the true strength of a promise is not revealed during easy seasons. It is revealed during difficult ones. A promise proves its value when storms arrive. A promise proves its strength when waiting stretches longer than expected. A promise proves its reliability when circumstances appear to contradict it. And today, my beloved child, I want to remind you of something your weary heart may need to hear. The promise still stands, not because circumstances have always been easy, not because the journey had been free from obstacles, not because every chapter unfolded exactly as you expected. The promise still stands because I stand behind it. Think about the seasons we have walked through together. There were nights that seemed endless. There were doors that appeared permanently closed. There were fears that tried to stop you. There were wounds that required healing. There were delays that tested your patience. There were storms that challenged your trust. And through all of it, one thing remained unchanged. My beloved child, People often measure promises by what they can currently see. If visible evidence exists, they feel confident. If visible evidence disappears, doubt begins to grow. But my faithfulness has never depended upon visible evidence. The seed beneath the soil still contains life before anyone sees growth. The dawn still approaches before the first ray of sunlight appears. The river still flows beneath the ground before anyone discovers it. And my promises remain active even when you cannot yet see their fulfillment. Imagine a builder constructing a magnificent bridge across a vast canyon. During the early stages, only a few sections are visible. To someone standing at a distance, the project may appear incomplete. They may question whether the bridge will ever reach the other side. But the builder already knows the final design. Every beam has a purpose. Every section contributes to the whole. The unfinished appearance does not mean the plan has failed. My beloved child, there are moments when your life may appear unfinished. You see unanswered questions. You see incomplete dreams. You see goals that remain distant. You see promises that seem delayed. But I see the entire bridge. I see how every season connects. I see how every lesson contributes to your future. I see how every challenge has strengthened qualities within you. And because I see the completed picture, I ask you to trust me when the view feels incomplete. One of the enemy's favorite strategies is to convince people that time has invalidated the promise. He whispers, "Too much time has passed." He says, "If it were going to happen, it would have happened already." He points to delays and uses them as evidence that hope should be abandoned. But delays do not erase my promises. Waiting does not cancel my plans. Time does not weaken my faithfulness. My child, I operate beyond the limitations of human timelines. What feels delayed to you may still be perfectly aligned within my purpose. And what appears impossible today may become tomorrow's testimony. Remember this. I am not limited by what limited you before. I am not restricted by your past disappointments. I am not constrained by current circumstances. Nothing that concerns you is beyond my reach. Nothing that worries you is beyond my wisdom. Nothing that seems impossible is beyond my power. That is why hope remains justified. That is why trust remains worthwhile. That is why the promise still stands. Perhaps there are dreams you have nearly stopped believing in. Perhaps there are prayers you no longer mention because waiting has become painful. Perhaps there are hopes buried beneath layers of disappointment. My beloved child, do not allow discouragement to become the final voice. Do not let temporary circumstances write eternal truths. Do not assume that because the answer has not arrived yet, it never will. I have not forgotten what I spoke over your life. I have not forgotten your prayers. I have not forgotten your tears. I have not forgotten your journey. And I have certainly not forgotten my promises. There may still be chapters ahead that you cannot see. There may still be growth required. There may still be preparation taking place. But none of those things mean the promise has disappeared. In fact, many times the greatest fulfillment arrives after the longest preparation. My beloved child, hold on. Not to fear. Not to worry. Not to discouragement. Hold on to me. Hold on to my character. Hold on to my faithfulness. Hold on to the truth that has carried you through every chapter so far. The same God who guided you through the night is still guiding you now. The same God who strengthened you in the storm is still strengthening you now. The same God who healed your wounds is still healing you now. And the same God who made the promise is still watching over it. So lift your eyes once more. Hope again. Believe again. Trust again. Because despite every delay, every obstacle, every challenge, and every unanswered question, the promise still stands. And so do I. My beloved child, there is something beautiful about standing on the edge of a new horizon. From where you are now, you cannot fully see what lies ahead. The future remains partially hidden. Certain details have not yet been revealed. Some questions are still unanswered. Some doors have not yet opened. And because of that, it can be tempting to focus only on what you do not know. But today, I want to gently shift your attention. Instead of focusing on what remains hidden, I want you to remember who is already waiting for you beyond this moment. I am. Before you arrive in tomorrow, I am already there. Before the next chapter unfolds, I have already seen it. Before the next opportunity appears, I have already prepared the path toward it. Nothing about your future is a mystery to me. And because I know what awaits beyond this moment, I want you to move forward with hope instead of fear. Imagine a traveler standing at the edge of a hill just before sunrise. From that position, much of the landscape remains hidden beneath the darkness. Valleys, rivers, forests, and pathways are all concealed from view. The traveler may feel uncertain because so much cannot yet be seen. But then the sun begins to rise. Little by little, the landscape becomes visible. The paths were there all along. The rivers were there all along. The beauty was there all along. The traveler simply could not see it yet. My beloved child, there are blessings ahead that already exist within my plans for you. You simply cannot see them yet. There are moments of joy waiting for you. There are conversations waiting for you. There are opportunities waiting for you. There are answers waiting for you. There are breakthroughs waiting for you. There are lessons waiting for you. And there are blessings so unexpected that they will remind you how carefully I have been guiding your journey all along. The enemy wants you to approach the future with dread. He wants you to assume the worst. He wants you to expect disappointment. He wants you to believe that tomorrow will simply repeat yesterday's struggles. But fear cannot see what I see. Fear sees limitations. I see possibility. Fear sees obstacles. I see opportunities. Fear sees uncertainty. I see purpose. My child, every chapter we have walked through together has been preparing you for what lies ahead. The difficult seasons taught endurance. The hidden seasons taught trust. The healing seasons taught restoration. The waiting seasons taught patience. The storms taught dependence upon me. The small yes taught obedience. None of those lessons were wasted. They were preparation. Preparation for the future that is still unfolding. Imagine an athlete training for a great race. Day after day, strength is built. Endurance develops. Discipline grows. At times, the training feels difficult and repetitive. The athlete may not always understand how every exercise contributes to the final goal. But when the race arrives, the purpose becomes clear. The preparation was creating readiness. My beloved child, much of what you have experienced has been creating readiness. Readiness for opportunities you have not yet encountered. Readiness for responsibilities you have not yet received. Readiness for blessings you have not yet imagined. Readiness for the next chapter of your story. There are moments ahead when you will look back and realize why certain lessons were necessary. You will understand why patience mattered. You will understand why healing mattered. You will understand why trust mattered. You will see how the pieces fit together in ways that are difficult to recognize today. Until then, I ask you to remain hopeful. Hope is not pretending difficulties do not exist. Hope is believing that difficulties do not have the final word. Hope is believing that my goodness extends beyond your current circumstances. Hope is believing that your future remains filled with possibility because it remains held within my hands. My beloved child, do not allow fear to convince you that your best days are behind you. Do not allow disappointment to define your expectations. Do not allow uncertainty to steal your anticipation. There is more ahead. More growth. More healing. More wisdom. More peace. More purpose. More joy. And more evidence of my faithfulness than you can currently imagine. The chapter you are living now is important, but it is not the last chapter. The page is still turning. The story is still unfolding. The journey is still progressing. And I am still leading. So when you think about the future, do not think only about what you cannot see. Think about the one who already sees it. Think about the one who has carried you through every previous season. Think about the one who has never abandoned you. Think about the one who is preparing the road ahead. Because what awaits beyond this moment is not uncertainty alone. What awaits beyond this moment is my continued presence, my continued guidance, my continued love, and my continued faithfulness. And with me beside you, my beloved child, the future holds far more hope than fear could ever understand. My beloved child, throughout this journey, we have spoken about storms, delays, healing, trust, purpose, and hope. We have walked through valleys and stood on the edge of new horizons together. But now I want to speak about something that lies at the center of all these things. It is not a strategy. It is not a formula. It is not a secret reserved for only a few. It is the simple yet powerful truth of staying close to me. Many people spend their lives searching for strength while drifting away from the very source of strength. They search for peace while moving further from the source of peace. They search for wisdom while neglecting the source of wisdom. Then they wonder why they feel exhausted. They wonder why fear grows louder. They wonder why hope becomes difficult to maintain. My beloved child, everything changes when you remain close to me. Imagine a branch connected to a healthy vine. The branch does not struggle to produce life through its own effort. It receives nourishment because it remains connected to the source. The branch does not wake each morning wondering how it will survive. Its strength comes from its connection. Its growth comes from its connection. Its fruit comes from its connection. My child, the same principle applies to your life. You were never meant to navigate this journey through your own strength alone. You were never designed to carry every burden by yourself. You were never created to face every challenge without my presence. That is why staying close to me matters so deeply. When you stay close to me, fear loses much of its power. Not because challenges disappear, but because you remember that you are not facing them alone. When you stay close to me, peace becomes available even in uncertain seasons. Not because every question is answered, but because you trust the one who already knows the answers. When you stay close to me, hope remains alive. Not because circumstances are always easy, but because my faithfulness becomes greater in your eyes than your difficulties. Think back to the shepherd and the storm. The sheep did not find safety by understanding the weather. They found safety by staying near the shepherd. Think back to the river that never runs dry. Its strength came from remaining connected to its source. Think back to the hidden seed. Its growth depended on remaining within the environment where the gardener was working. Every lesson we have discussed points toward this truth. Stay close to me. My beloved child, staying close to me does not require perfection. Many people mistakenly believe they must become flawless before they can approach me. They think they must solve every problem first. They think they must eliminate every weakness first. They think they must earn my presence. But my love does not work that way. I do not ask you to come to me after you have everything figured out. I invite you to come exactly as you are. Bring your questions. Bring your fears. Bring your doubts. Bring your hopes. Bring your wounds. Bring your gratitude. Bring your entire heart. Because relationship, not perfection, is what I desire. There will be days when you feel strong. Stay close to me. There will be days when you feel weak. Stay close to me. There will be days when faith comes easily. Stay close to me. There will be days when you struggle. Stay close to me. Do not build your connection to me upon your emotions alone. Build it upon trust. Because emotions change. Circumstances change. Seasons change. But my love remains constant. My beloved child, some of the greatest transformations happen quietly through daily closeness with me. A little more peace each day. A little more wisdom each day. A little more strength each day. A little more trust each day. You may not notice every change immediately, but over time, those moments of connection shape your entire life. Imagine walking beside a river day after day. At first, the landscape appears unchanged. Yet year after year, the river transforms everything around it. It nourishes life. It creates beauty. It shapes the land. In the same way, my presence gradually transforms the heart that remains near me. Old fears begin losing influence. Old wounds begin healing. Old chains begin breaking. New strength begins growing. New confidence begins emerging. New hope begins rising. This is the power of staying close to me. Not a life free from challenges, but a life strengthened by my presence through every challenge. Not a life without questions, but a life guided by the one who holds every answer. Not a life without storms, but a life anchored by the shepherd who never leaves his flock. So as you move forward into the chapters ahead, remember this truth above all else. Do not merely seek blessings. Seek me. Do not merely seek answers. Seek me. Do not merely seek peace. Seek me. Because when you remain close to me, you remain connected to the source of everything your heart truly needs. And my beloved child, if you stay close to me, you will discover that no matter what lies ahead, you will never walk alone, never face life unsupported, and never be beyond the reach of my love. My beloved child, before we reach the end of this journey together, I want to invite you to do something that many people forget to do. I want you to look back. Not so you can become trapped in the past. Not so you can relive old pain. Not so you can dwell on old disappointments. I want you to look back so you can see something you may have missed while you were busy surviving. I want you to see my hand. There is something remarkable about the human heart. When facing a current challenge, it often forgets previous victories. When standing in a present storm, it sometimes loses sight of the storms that have already been survived. Fear has a way of narrowing your vision. It focuses your attention on what is happening now. It magnifies current uncertainties. It makes present obstacles seem larger than everything that came before them. But wisdom often comes when you pause and remember. Remember where you started. Remember what you have overcome. Remember how far you have come. My beloved child, think about the person you were years ago. Think about the fears you once carried. Think about the questions you once faced. Think about the challenges that once seemed impossible. At the time, some of those situations felt overwhelming. You wondered how you would survive. You wondered how you would keep moving forward. You wondered whether you would ever find peace again. Yet here you are, still standing, still growing, still moving forward, still loved, still guided, still held by my hand. That is not an accident. That is evidence of my faithfulness. Imagine a traveler crossing a vast wilderness. While walking through difficult terrain, the traveler focuses mostly on the next step. There are hills to climb, rivers to cross, and obstacles to navigate. But when the traveler reaches a high mountain and looks back, a different perspective emerges. The path becomes visible. The distance traveled becomes clear. The progress that once seemed invisible can now be seen. My beloved child, there are moments when I want you to climb that mountain of remembrance. Look back and notice the path. Notice the prayers that were answered. Notice the doors that eventually opened. Notice the strength that appeared when you thought you had none left. Notice the protection you did not even recognize at the time. Notice the lessons that became wisdom. Notice the pain that became growth. Notice the wounds that became testimonies. When you do, you will begin seeing my fingerprints all over your story. You will realize that I was present in seasons when you thought you were alone. You will recognize guidance in moments that once seemed random. You will see provision in places where you once saw only lack. You will discover that many things you called coincidences were actually acts of care. My beloved child, even the chapters you do not fully understand yet contain evidence of my presence. Some questions may still remain unanswered. Some mysteries may still remain hidden. But even within those uncertainties, you can find proof that I have never abandoned you. Think about the hidden seed. I was there beneath the soil. Think about the long night. I was there before the dawn arrived. Think about the storm. I was there guiding you through it. Think about the healing process. I was there restoring what was wounded. Think about the chains that have been losing their strength. I was there bringing freedom one step at a time. Every chapter we have explored together points toward the same truth. I have been with you. Always. Not occasionally. Not only during easy seasons. Not only when your faith felt strong. Always. There were days when you could not feel my presence. Yet I was there. There were moments when you doubted my plans. Yet I was still working. There were times when you questioned whether I cared. Yet my love never changed. My beloved child, remembering my faithfulness in the past strengthens your trust for the future. When you remember what I have already done, fear loses some of its influence. When you remember how I carried you before, hope becomes easier to embrace. When you remember my goodness, it becomes easier to believe that my goodness will continue. That is why remembrance is powerful. It reminds you that your story is not defined by isolated moments. It is defined by a faithful God walking beside you through every chapter. So today, take a moment and look back. Not at your failures, not at your regrets, not at your disappointments. Look back and see my hand. See the protection. See the provision. See the growth. See the healing. See the strength. See the love. Because the same hand that carried you through every previous season is still holding you now. The same hand that guided you through the darkness is still leading you toward the light. The same hand that sustained you yesterday will sustain you tomorrow. And when you truly see my hand throughout your journey, my beloved child, you will realize that you have never walked alone, not for a single moment of your life. My beloved child, we have come to the end of this journey together, but not to the end of your story. From the very beginning, I told you that this moment was not an accident. I told you that you were here for a reason. And now, after everything we have walked through together, I want you to see the truth that has been woven through every chapter. This moment was always me calling you. When you felt lost, I was calling you closer. When you felt forgotten, I was calling you to remember my love. When fear tried to stop you, I was calling you forward. When the night felt long, I was calling you to trust the coming dawn. When the doors seemed closed, I was calling you to believe that I was still working. When your heart carried wounds, I was calling you toward healing. When your confidence faded, I was calling you to see yourself through my eyes. When you questioned your purpose, I was calling you to discover the design I placed within you. Every chapter of your journey has contained my invitation. An invitation to trust. An invitation to hope. An invitation to rest. An invitation to walk beside me. My beloved child, if there is one thing I want you to carry from this message, it is this: you are deeply loved. Not because of what you have accomplished, not because of how strong you appear, not because you always get everything right. You are loved because you are mine. That truth has never changed. It did not change during your failures. It did not change during your waiting seasons. It did not change during your storms. And it will not change in the chapters ahead. The future may still contain questions. There may still be mountains to climb. There may still be lessons to learn. But you no longer need to fear the road ahead. The one who guided you through yesterday is already waiting in tomorrow. The one who carried you through every difficult season is still holding you now. The one who planted the seed, calmed the storm, healed the wound, and strengthened your heart is still working. And I will continue working. I will continue guiding. I will continue restoring. I will continue loving you. So lift your eyes, my beloved child. Walk forward with confidence. Walk forward with peace. Walk forward with hope. Leave behind the lie that you are alone. Leave behind the lie that your best days are over. Leave behind the lie that nothing can change. Because your story is still unfolding, and I am still writing beautiful chapters. And as this message comes to a close, let this mission continue reaching the hearts I am calling. My beloved child, every seed sown into fertile ground becomes part of a harvest far greater than itself. Through a super thanks, a membership, or a PayPal gift through the link in the video description and the QR code shown in this video, you help carry these messages of hope to souls who are searching for light in their darkest hour. My word declares, whoever sows generously will also reap generously, and I speak that promise over every willing heart today. Hear my invitation, my child. Help me place this message before someone who hath been praying for an answer. Your support becomes a river of encouragement flowing into homes, hospitals, lonely rooms, and weary hearts across the world. This is not merely a donation. It is a seed planted into a living harvest of transformed lives. I bless every giver with fresh peace, renewed strength, and unexpected favor according to my perfect will. Let your generosity become a lamp that shines where darkness once ruled. Let your offering become oil that keeps this light burning for others. Respond to this calling now and release the seed I place in your hands. My beloved child, I bless your mind with peace. I bless your heart with courage. I bless your future with hope. I bless your journey with purpose. I bless your home with my presence. I bless your life with the assurance that you are seen, known, and deeply loved. And whenever fear tries to return, remember what I have spoken to you. Open your heart. Trust me. Walk with me. For this moment was always me calling you. Amen.